Hey guys, welcome to the Super Show. I'm Chris. On my right is Alyx Jones. On my left, Jamie MC.
Yo.
How's it going, everybody?
Introduce me like a rapper, and I'll introduce myself like a rapper.
Well, there we go.
That's how rappers do. They go, yo.
Big time.
Yeah, so we are the best gaming podcast that you've ever laid your ears on. Prove me wrong. So
Well, they will by the end of the episode.
Don't prove
me wrong in the comments down below.
Don't prove me wrong. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. These are our glorious faces. If you are listening on a podcast platform of your choice, hello. Go over to youtube.com/SuperShowPod and check us out.
It's like gravy for the ears.
It is, isn't it? You can also
Cocaine for the eyes. Is that a thing?
Yeah. And heroin shot straight into the right testicle.
Okay, right over left, sure. I mean, to each their own.
You got it.
I probably would have switched it.
What's a right bias, right?
I've got to ask now, otherwise I won't be able to stop thinking about it. Could you take cocaine through your eyeballs?
Probably.
Could you open up your eyelid and pour cocaine?
Yeah, because you could do it on your gums, right?
You just need it in your bloodstream, right?
Yeah, I reckon
Or
it
do you
would
need-
somehow get into your bloodstream. I don't really know.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not going to lie.
We'll do some
I'll
experiments
tell you what. Let us know on our social media
Because you
could.
cocaine through your eyeball.
Yeah, because you could follow us on Twitter or Instagram at SuperShowPod. I'm just picturing what people are going to send us. Probably nothing because we're not that big. But there we go. But guys, thank you so much for listening or watching. We are a gaming podcast, and of course we are. You know, it's all made possible because of our generous patrons. We've got a handful. We do. But we have some special shout-outs today. We've got, obviously, Angus McChilly, Brett Zerbrig, Peaswad, brand new name.
Shout out the peas.
There we go. And Terry Spence coming in with the big boy, Skylar Music, joined by another big boy, good old fucking Lonnie Thompson.
Oh.
A living legend, if ever there was one.
Hell yeah.
It's fair to say that without these people, this podcast would not be half as good as it is.
It's true.
And it's a very good podcast. It's a 5-star podcast, some people have said.
You keep reminding people at the beginning of every one that it's the best in the world. At some point, it has to become true.
You know what? It's working because, guess what? All of our reviews are 5 stars. Ugh.
Someone's going to do 4-star now. Just
Fucking hell.
Like,
4.
you know when you ever get into an Uber and the guy's got a perfect 5-star rating? And
Yeah,
there's,
you're like,
there's a devil on your shoulder that says, you could fuck it up for the... Because once you've done the 4-star, he'll never have 5.
Do you know what's annoying me? I don't have 5 stars on Uber as a passenger, and the reason I don't is because some drivers haven't rated me. So that comes. It does,
Really?
Yeah, everyone who's rated me is giving me 5 stars.
So what does it equate to if you don't get a rating?
Got no idea, but it means that I'm not at 5 stars.
Maybe it just defaults to like a regional average.
Maybe it's 2.5. Maybe it's that straightforward.
That sounds too harsh.
It does. That's really.
Oh,
harsh,
I reckon if you got a 2.5, you'd be well done. Anyway, this is not an Uber podcast. It's a gaming podcast.
No, it's an Ola
Wow,
podcast.
Ola.
£15 off.
Fucking hell, Ola's everywhere these days.
For people that don't know, Uber's basically about to be banned in London, so every competitor in the world is trying to get in on the territory. Anyway, that's boring for people who don't live here.
We also talk about some non-gaming stuff, and can I blend together 2 things?
Yeah.
Because I've been watching Altered Carbon Season 2, and they take drugs through their eyes.
Really? Why didn't you say that when we were talking about cocaine?
Because I'm telling you now, I forgot.
We're
in that
weaving.
instance.
Weaving.
Same.
How is Altered Carbon Season 2, Alyx Jones?
It's good. It's very good. It's not as strong as Season 1.
Did you finish season 2?
No, I'm two episodes away from the end.
Do you think you'll ever?
Okay.
Do you think you'll finish it?
I think so, yeah.
Don't do me like that. Do you know what? I'm going to finish the penultimate episode on my way home.
Nice.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
A little commute job.
But still haven't finished Bioshock.
No, I haven't.
Still haven't finished Death Stranding.
Haven't finished Death Stranding.
He's waiting for the PC version. Now we've seen those Half-Life editions.
The problem, my problem this week has been is that I played the Final Fantasy VII demo. I played some Rift. I don't know why. Rift.
MMO?
Yes.
Jeez.
I also played some Star Trek Online.
Of course
Wait,
you
Star
did.
Trek Online or Star Trek Bridge Crew?
Star Trek Online.
What?
Whoa.
You've had the most rogue week I've ever heard in my life.
It's been pretty rogue.
Wow.
Star Trek Online is much better than I thought it was going to be, I must admit. I'd never jumped in.
Oh, you should fucking hope so. It's been out for long enough that they ironed out all the kinks.
But I was always a Star Trek game fan, and then I never went to online because I thought it was going to be ropey as all hell. But actually, for the little bit I've played, it's actually quite a fun little Star Trek universe experience.
Fair enough. Have you watched Picard yet?
No, I haven't watched it yet. I'm really looking forward to watching it.
What network is Picard on in
That's
the UK?
on Amazon Prime Video.
It's
Yeah.
Amazon Prime thing, okay. So I know it's CBS in the
In
US.
the States.
And we're just about to get Disney as well, aren't we?
Disney
Yes.
Plus.
So we can now
I can finally watch The
Mandalorian. I've started to see adverts for The Mandalorian, which is how I knew that Disney is almost about to come.
Mandalorian is quality.
Well, where it will get interesting, I think, is when shows like I forget what the actual final titles were, but the one about the Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Oh right,
and the one about Vision and Wonder. If those shows come out and get good reviews, that'll be. It'll be hard not to sign up for yet another TV service.
I don't know. Like Marvel TV shows are kind of a bit wank.
Yeah,
aren't
I'm not going to be signed up for any of that.
I mean, the Netflix Marvel stuff, with hindsight, was not great. We all had our moment where like
Punisher was okay.
Daredevil and Punisher's the exception,
Yeah.
but like, does anyone really fondly remember Iron Fist or Luke Cage or Jessica Jones?
Jessica Jones.
I'd actually forgotten that they made the series with all four of them together.
Did they?
The Defenders or
Oh,
whatever?
yes.
Yeah.
They actually made that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't remember.
Do you know what, someone was
Jonesy
watching...
tucking into the Skittles.
I am.
Excuse me if you can hear that ASMR of Go on, skittle your balls, Jonesy. Oh my god!
Wow.
I was watching something the other day. Well, so I went to someone's house and they had that on, but I didn't know what it was. And I was like, "Oh, are you watching Iron Fist?" And then Jessica Jones rocked up, and so did Luke Cage. I was like, "What is this travesty?" And they're like, "Oh, so that's Defenders, isn't it?" I was like,
Didn't they cancel after the first
You didn't
season?
tell us you were friends with a time traveller?
Wow,
"What?
bad humor.
That's just a bad joke about how irrelevant the show they're watching was.
Wow.
They're old."
So hold on. So you watched Altered Carbon. Do you want to chat about that?
We can do a brief one. So,
Yeah.
because you guys haven't seen season 1 either, have you?
No, I haven't seen any of that.
You've read the book, Jamie.
I read the book by Richard Morgan or something like that.
I
Because
yeah.
I was going to say, I went down a Wikipedia hole one time and found out that the Richard Morgan, or I think that's his name, the guy who wrote Altered Carbon,
Yeah, pretty sure.
wrote the story for Crisis 2 and the 2008 EA remake of Syndicate. And I was looking at his
right.
Wikipedia page and I was like, this sounds interesting. And so I bought it on Kindle or whatever it's called.
Fair enough.
You're a bit of a bookworm.
I think more so than I get credit for. My parents don't think I read. And I'll ask for a book for Christmas and they'll be like, oh, get you. Like,
No,
what do you think
like
I do
literally,
with my
they don't
eyes?
think you can read.
Yeah.
Whereas I always assume Jamie's the one who's read a book. If we talk about a book, I'm like, Jamie's probably read it, but no.
Oh
one else.
yeah, like knowing Jamie long enough, like
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm kind of flattered that you
yeah,
guys
you
think
you
that
you
way.
you've brought me around on that one. I only know the premise, but yeah.
So Altered Carbon Series 1 was wicked. We were talking about it earlier and saying how it's that kind of film noir but inside, soft sci-fi tied together. Season 2, Anthony Mackie instead of Joel Kinnaman plays Takeshi Kovacs. And I was a bit worried because everything I've seen with Anthony Mackie, he's just a little bit weak sauce for me.
Yeah.
And Joel Kinnaman's Takeshi Kovacs was quite like a hard cut, brutal kind of protagonist.
Well, I was saying to you guys before we started the podcast that Anthony Mackie, he will always be the character that he was in Pain and Gain, which is always the dude who never manages to get big enough. Or never, he takes more steroids than everyone else and can't get big enough, and just he's always that kind of like third-rate character. Fucking the Falcon.
Yeah, Falcon's not good, is
Come on.
And part of the gimmick of the Falcon was that he was always he wasn't Captain America. I know he probably is now, but that was the point. Like he was never quite there.
It's like in was it Ant-Man and the Wasp where he had to go and break into or was it the first Ant-Man? He had to go and break into the Avengers like headquarters, and all the Avengers were gone.
Oh,
but
yeah.
hey, guess what? The Falcon's, there.
I think that's the first one.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh man, it must have been like contractual or something because. Why didn't you just fucking get one of the others?
It is why is he the only one left at the base? Is because he's the cheapest one to get to be in.
No, it's because he's the one
probably
who's
was.
so shit that he has to stay in base and babysit.
Because if
they're
Thor
all
was
they're
there-
all out fighting fucking Ultron and shit, and then there he is like, oh, I'm just making sure no one trespasses.
It's because if Thor was there or Iron Man, they'd win too easily. They need a shit one. But I will say for Anthony Mackie in season 2 of Altered Carbon, he's very good. I like his
Fair enough.
portrayal.
He is a good actor,
Takeshi
but
Kovacs.
you just
Yeah.
for me he can't shake off that image.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. But it's good. Watch it if you haven't seen it. Or watch season 1 first. You both need to watch season 1.
Yeah, I gotta do it.
I don't know. I might do. I'm more likely to binge a Netflix show now than I was 2 weeks ago.
Season 1 is much more of that. So a few years ago with like the whole Game of Thrones thing and everything, everyone went like all sexy and like a lot of tits and stuff like that in the show.
Sex Position it was called.
They definitely had a lot of that in Altered Carbon, and it was quite gruesome and brutal, and a lot of sex, a lot of nudity. Whereas this season is kind of
They reined it in.
They've definitely reined it in a bit. Yeah, definitely reined it in. but it's still cool. Like it's still
Okay, so you watched that, but did you play any games? You said you
Yes.
played a few.
So I played, like I said, Rift and Star Trek Online. I played Final Fantasy VII demo, which we will go into.
Yes, boys.
I'm pretty sure that was it for me for the get on the game in the front.
Not a disastrous week, just like I said, a bit rogue.
Yeah, very rogue. Yeah. I could have spent some time playing some games that I need to finish, but instead
I can't wait until the time we come to this podcast. Be like, what have you done? And Jones will be like, I finished Bioshock. I finished Altered Carbon. I finished Death Stranding. I'll be like, fuck yeah.
I mean, that's what I did buy today. Sorry, just one extra one that I
right,
showed
yeah.
Jamie earlier.
Yeah.
On Jamie's advice, I took £5 crisp and I went down to my local CEX and I bought Prey.
Oh right, Prey. Oh,
For
cool.
when I've finished
Yeah.
Bioshock.
That is a good purchase right there.
I thought because when Jonesy played Bioshock a few weeks ago, he was talking about how it reminded him that he liked the mechanics of that genre of games.
Yeah.
And I was saying Prey's probably the best way to see where that genre has gone.
And I never played it
in the
when
years
it originally
since.
came out. Yeah, so
And you probably won't remember any of the twists either from working on All Time Gaming.
I tell
Expunge
you.
them from your head.
Prey has one of in terms of twists that are delivered within the first half an hour to hour of the game. Prey's got one of my favourite moments.
Oh yeah,
yeah?
Purely
it's
because I was lucky enough to discover it 100% naturally. A kind of hang on a second, I'll check if this works kind of thing, and it was like, what the fuck? So
That's
we'll
cool,
talk
man.
about that.
Yeah,
next
it's cool.
week.
It's cool. Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, because luckily it's in the beginning. So it's like,
Yeah, it's right at the beginning.
So I will get to it.
Oh, yeah,
Whereas,
the first-
whereas if it was at the end, there's a question.
You'll see it the first time you play, and it's that classic game design thing of like it sets you and put you in a position where it makes you say, "What if I just try this?" And it gives you a very satisfying reward for trying something.
but you don't have to.
You don't have to. No, you could not find it. I think you have to find it eventually.
Yeah,
That's
I think
good
you get
level
like
design.
Yeah.
round and round.
But that's just good level design.
Oh, yeah.
Any game that makes you naturally progress to a certain point, and you feel like you've discovered the thing,
Hell yeah.
and then you realise that everyone who played the game discovered the thing. You realise,
Yes.
these people knew what they were doing in the
Yeah,
games,
yeah.
which is why that's the real problem I had with Wolfenstein when we talked Youngblood when we talked about it.
Yeah.
Because I had a real issue with that game because I thought it was just bad level design.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was a lot of bad level design.
Wait,
Both
so
of us.
Prey was Arcane,
Random.
Yes.
and was it Deathloop? Is the new one that they're making?
Yeah, I want to say Prey
Arcane
is
Leon or
Arcane Leon is the Deathloop one, and Prey was like Arcane Austin or something like that.
Oh shit.
technically.
Okay. Right.
And they were Dishonored as well.
Yes,
or-
Arcane
yeah.
is Dishonored. Yeah.
There must be a big studio, obviously.
Yeah.
Because they're churning out stuff.
Very into their immersive sims.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Dishonored was one I always wished I could get into. I tried the first one, it just didn't click with me in the way I thought it would.
Yeah.
And then gave the second one a kind of a wide berth for that reason.
Right.
But people that like Dishonored really fucking like
do,
Dishonored.
God.
Oh yeah, I played Dishonored. I liked it. The first one, I didn't get into the second one, but the second one looked like it was doing some really cool stuff. Like remember that one level in Titanfall 2 where you're going like in the past and in the
Yeah.
Yes.
present day.
Yeah.
They've got a similar thing with that, with like a mirror shard.
Okay.
And yeah, so I wanted to kind of get into it, but yeah,
Bit like Prince of Persia.
sure.
Where you got to go forward and backwards in time.
Just better.
Yeah, just forget that, Jonesy.
Whatever.
Just give up on it. I'll tell you what I've been doing. So
Yes.
in terms of TV shows, I also watched a few TV shows.
Okay.
Finished Mythic Quest.
Okay.
Very nice. And
Yeah.
you thought very highly of it. So.
Oh, it is actually really, really fucking good. So it's not perfect by any means, but from like a first season, I thought it was really fucking solid.
Cool.
A lot of kind of good gaming humor, like they get gamers.
Yeah.
They're not really pandering to them. The only thing I felt that they fell a little bit flat on was their portrayal of streamers.
Right.
Because it's very much like, oh, hey guys, and a little fucking graphic comes up. It's like, it is that, but it isn't the way you're doing it.
Is it too
Right.
bang on and it's like annoyed you?
No, it's almost like,
Is it too parody?
you know what it was? It's you explaining to your parents exactly what streaming is, and they get
Right.
it, they understand it, but they've never seen it, and then they do it.
Okay, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's kind of like I don't want to go too far into the story points, but it's fucking funny. There are some great moments. There was this one moment in the series, like around about series 7, where the creative director calls out someone who's busy fucking with the game and says like, "Oh, I'll battle you to a fucking duel
In game.
in game." Okay. But this guy's like a hacker, and he's like fucking up, and obviously the creative director, he's so full of himself. He's like, "Yeah, I'll fucking toast this dude." Right? But it's this whole culmination of like, they make this big public event, they get loads of streamers to fucking cover it, and you just fucking there and you're like, oh my god, this is gonna go wrong, whatever. I'm not gonna spoil what happens, but it's such a fucking great moment.
Oh, I want to see that now.
It's
That
so
sounds
good.
wicked.
It's only 9 episodes.
What platform's it on?
Apple TV Plus.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Apple TV.
Yeah.
Yes, Apple TV.
Totally on the level.
Got that little cheeky subscription, did you, Chris?
I'll tell you what, let's move on.
You're about to watch the morning show.
Yeah.
He's just digging himself deeper and deeper anyway.
Well, you guys are digging me in there. Anyway, the other thing that I watched was John Wick 3 Parabellum
Big time.
on Netflix.
Can I just say, I'm glad you've watched it because we, as a group, as a trio,
Yeah.
should probably be a little bit embarrassed by how long it took us to see John Wick 3.
Yes.
Considering we were all John Wick 1 and 2 enthusiasts.
Yeah, well, not only that, when 3 came out, we said we were going to go and watch it, and we never found the time.
We made plans every week that didn't come to fruition to watch John Wick 3.
I wasn't a massive enthusiast for 2 though.
Well, I guess me neither, but...
Yeah, you guys weren't too hot on it. I fucking loved 2. Not as much as number 1. Number 1 was a fucking all-time classic.
1 I thought was brilliant, but then it had a weird thing for me that 1 was kind of set, it felt like it could be set in our world.
Yeah.
2 was then obviously set in this fake John Wick world, and then the setup for 3 was that it was in some ludicrous, over-the-top, insane John Wick world, and then I was like, do you know what? And I'd never say this, 2 was a little bit too violent for me.
Wow.
It was It was just the pacing was relentless.
There are some quality bits in John Wick 3. Towards the end, it's not much of a spoiler. He gets armor.
He dies.
No, he gets armor-piercing rounds in a fucking shotgun.
Okay.
Right.
And you know, like the John Wick thing is quite methodical. It's like point a gun at someone's face, and then there's like a beat, and then they pull the trigger and it blows, and then they get shot.
Yeah. Well, it's normally, isn't it, like it's like leg, body, beat.
Yeah. But
Or like the
Seems
triple
always
tap thing where it's 2 to the body, and then head.
yeah. But in this one, he's got armor-piercing rounds in a fucking shotgun, like a police riot shotgun.
Right.
And he goes up to these dudes wearing these fucking helmets, and like point blank from here, just fucking blows their heads off. It's got bah! It's fucking cool.
I
It's fucking
like
cool.
that.
And as I was watching this, I was messaging the guys on the WhatsApp group, and I'm like, I just saw John Wick slap a horse's ass, and the horse kicked someone in the face. I was like, that's cool.
That's funny.
What I did say at the first 20 minutes of the film was a lot of action and not so much of the mythology, which is part of the stuff that I guess all of us didn't necessarily get into that much from John Wick 2.
Yeah.
I think in John Wick 1 it was a curiosity because John Wick 1 still has like the coins and like the cleaning service to get rid of bodies, and you're like, okay. And John Wick 2, it wasn't that it necessarily jumped the shark with any of that stuff. It was just like, I guess it just wasn't as into it when it was all up front and in front of
it just felt that like they were trying to go too quirky with it. It's like, oh, here's this fucking office where they all use fucking computers from the 80s and they all got fucking tattoos.
That's what I found was too much. Then it became its own weird little world.
And the concept of, is it called the Continental, the hotel?
Yes.
Where they can't hurt each other when they're in there.
Yeah.
It's like, it's cool, but I just didn't like it as much in practice as I did in theory.
Oh, I like the Continental stuff. But yeah, some of the stuff was a bit hit and miss. In terms of the violence, I fucking loved it. And this one is equally as violent.
Yeah. Good.
But I had said to these guys that, oh, don't worry, the mythology is kind of taking a backseat.
Yeah.
Past that point, actually, it does come back quite a lot.
It was bound to.
Yeah,
they're characters they needed to make good on. There's the English guy whose name I always forget, who's in like Sexy Beast and stuff like that. There's Lance Reddick, who's always really cool and everything.
Who's the sexy guy?
It's Sexy Beast with Ray Winston. He's in that film.
Oh, not Ian
You're talking about...
Yeah, Ian McShane.
Yeah, Ian McShane.
How did you get that from Sexy Beast?
Because he's in the Continental and he's about the right age to be Ray Winston's mate.
They've also got Lawrence Fishburne came into it.
He's not in the third one though, is he?
Is he not?
Oh, I don't want to give it. He is. Okay.
Oh, I thought he was. I need to rewatch the second one.
There's some cool things there, man. Guys,
he's the pigeon guy.
He's the pigeon guy.
He's the king of the pigeon guys. Yeah.
He's the king.
He's basically the woman from Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. I was reimagined.
I was going to say Mike Tyson, but that's probably a better comparison.
Fair enough.
One thing this is a really stupid thing to be annoyed about, but I tell you what did annoy me in John Wick 2 was, so in the first one, right, he gets the coins out.
Yeah.
And then you get the idea that the coins are like super special gold coins that you can use one to like go to the Continental,
like
get a room,
get proper value out of it.
Yeah, they're very special, and he doesn't have that many of them. But then in the second one, he starts being like, goes to Pret a Manger and buys a fucking sandwich and hands out a coin. I'm like, make the sandwich really special, and gives him a coin. I'm like, oh, fuck off. These are. I
think you'd be watching a different movie.
I just remember there's a lot of things where he
I didn't like the fucking Serafinovitz, the sommelier. I didn't like that bit of it when he was getting the armor-proof jacket,
right?
The suit, and I was just like,
Yes.
It's like you've taken it too far now. Like, oh, he's a sommelier, and he's like, oh, a fine wine. He gives him a fucking Magnum, like, come on.
Those are the cringe bits that I
Yeah, I didn't like that. And there is some, not to the same degree. I would say less of the cringy kind of like world building in John Wick 3 than John Wick 2. Some people might see it the other way. I don't know.
Because one was a super sort of, I suppose it was almost, do you know what one was for me? You know in Harry Potter, the first one,
I thought you were going to say when Harry met Sally.
They take the real world, right? And they have that, the whole point is that it's a fantasy for kids where they go, oh, someday someone might turn up and tell you that you're a wizard. But it's from the real world. And then by the time you get to like Harry Potter 5, it's ludicrous.
Oh, yeah.
John Wick
I know
1 is a guy whose car gets stolen, his dog is murdered, and he's so caught up because his wife is dead as well that he just goes mental. And he apparently used to be an assassin. 2 was like, oh, this has gone a little bit silly now because...
Oh, especially at the end of 2 when every fucking person in the fucking New York City is an assassin. You're
they
like,
all get
come
the
on.
text message
Yes.
or something with the price on the text.
Excommunicado.
And you suddenly realise that Ian McShane is supposed to be the baddest arse on the block. Like, he controls everything. You're like, he's just the fucking concierge from the Continental. Calm down.
Not the concierge. The concierge is Lance Reddick.
He's the manager.
Lance Reddick, the coolest voice in showbiz.
Yeah.
From
As heard in Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn, yeah.
And The Wire. And Quantum Break.
And Lost.
And Lost.
And Fringe.
Yes, and Fringe.
Fringe as well.
And a bunch of other stuff.
It's been a lot of cool stuff. But yeah, I highly recommend it. And
I tell you what.
There's going to be a fourth one.
Should we see it? We'll
gonna
make
be-
sure
it's
we
gonna be
watch it
fucking
before
cool.
next week.
Yeah, do it.
And then we'll have a chat about it.
I know there's going to be a fourth one because we had the infamous conversation where you two said you were more interested in John Wick 4 than The Matrix 4 if they both came out the same weekend.
Yeah.
You still stand by that?
Because even
You're
what
both
John
numpties.
because
Pair of numpties.
hold on,
mate.
because I haven't seen 3. Let me see 3 first, and then I'll see if I keep that. Because John Wick 2 wasn't as bad as Matrix 2 and 3.
Even if The Matrix 4 is, let's say it gets the same Metacritic score as The Matrix Revolutions, I will be happy with that.
Oof.
What is the Metacritic?
I don't know, probably like
Matrix Revolutions was the
40
least.
40 something.
Yes. Nah,
2 to 3 star range.
John Wick 4 will get way higher than that.
Oh, it will, yeah. But I'm saying I'd be happy with The Matrix 4 even if it was bad.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because I want that universe to be bad.
Oh, okay, I see.
I was thinking about this the other day. You know, shower thoughts. And I was thinking, why don't we, for one of our episodes, just dedicate it to like looking back at all the stuff we liked about The Matrix.
I mean, we
Matrix
do
special.
talk about The Matrix enough.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, let's fucking
The
do a
Matrix, a one-off special.
So if you want to listen to a Matrix special, let us know in the comments down below.
we get half a comment.
Yeah.
We'll play Enter the Matrix. We'll talk about.
Well, hold on, don't oversell.
We'll get some hacked servers for The Matrix Online.
I'm
We'll
sure you
wear
could.
leather jackets.
We'll all get sex changes.
Hell yeah.
All the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Wow. But besides that stuff, I mean, we are a gaming podcast, so games. I've only really been playing one game.
Which is?
I
finished Left Behind.
You finished
which was
Last of
like
Us and
an
Left Behind,
hour
yeah.
left for me anyway from
Yeah.
the last time we spoke.
You finished Hollow Knight? Or you haven't?
No, I haven't finished Hollow Knight. I'm
You're
keeping
saving
it
that
You're
for
saving
SA.
that for
Yeah, yeah. For essay. I've just been playing shitloads of Dota.
Oh, okay.
Right, I think I was going to say I did notice you online a few
It's
times.
been a while though, so that
Oh man,
you
I've
needed
been.
it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I did need it. I've been having such a fucking abysmal time.
Really?
11 losses in a row.
But that's the
That's-
problem with not playing.
And the
That's
game,
rough.
yeah, and the games take like 30 to 45 minutes on average.
How many losses can you take in a night before you say, fuck this, I'm done with this game?
Well, it's as many as maybe like 3.
Can you not play noobs so you can just win if you feel happy?
No, so the thing is, so it's
Oh,
kind of.
you have been playing.
No.
noobs.
What I've been doing is I've been doing ranked matchmaking, but because I'm uncalibrated, it doesn't know where to put me.
Right.
Right, which is fine because this is what happens. So you have to play 10 matches.
Oh no! And you played 11. You lost all of them.
Well, no, I played a portion of them on role matchmaking and another portion of them on standard matchmaking. When I should have just stuck with it because I would have had my calibration by now. For those wondering, it'll probably be really fucking low.
But that's
if
good,
this
though.
performance is anything to go by. But the thing is, like, it's annoying, right? Because it's not necessarily. Look, some games I fared, sure, fair. Some games I did really, really well. The thing is that the team dynamic or whatever, it actually got me really down this week.
Isn't it good though that it's put you lower in the ranking? Because it means it's going to more likely it will calibrate you lower, but then let you build back up.
Yes, dude. I'm not disappointed or bitter about any of that kind of stuff because
You don't want to go in too high because you had 10
no,
good
and,
games.
and the thing is like,
and then you play a few, and then you keep playing games.
And the thing is that Dota also has this problem with MMR boosting. And the way I look at it is like, well, it's fucking stupid. Because if you're a pro and I get you to boost my account, then I'm going up against people that play like you.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's no way I'm going to be able to compete. So I'm perfectly okay with like, hey, whatever calibration it gives me, that's where I should be. Because that means that I'll get a consistently good range of games.
Right.
It's almost like you've got to keep playing and losing until you arrive at a point where...
Yeah. But what I did feel from this round of playing is... So it all these MOBAs have a kind of a stigma of being like really toxic games, right? With like all the other people, and for the most part, I never really kind of felt that because I'd always play with my friend from South Africa, Paul, shout out, and we kind of like if everyone starts kicking off, you just mute them and whatever.
Okay.
But when I was doing this, I was playing solo. So obviously you got to listen to the people because you're trying to do the plays, whatever. If you are support, you got to listen to what they're saying, or if you're not support, you got to ask for shots or calls, whatever. But for some reason, I was just getting put into like fucking pummeled into these really fucking hardcore toxic matches, which is also something that you don't usually meant to find in ranked matches because ranked is obviously there's a lot on the line. So you don't you in general you don't try and tilt your teammates, right?
I don't know. When I've played ranked Apex Legends, which is the only competitive game I've played ranked in, I think, in recent memory, you get people who are a lot more concerned with where you're dropping and who's taking what loot and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe.
I think because you're getting the people who take it the most seriously, and I think there is a cross-section between the people who take it the most seriously and the people who are the most likely to get fucking angry and become toxic.
And I think to a degree that's fair, but like when we get into a match, remember I said like 35 to 45 minutes, you get into a match and in the first 2 minutes they start calling GG and you're like, fuck off, what are you doing? Like anything can happen.
I hate that.
You might have the worst composition of heroes possible, but what are you doing? You could still turn it around.
Yeah.
Like I've won games with 5 supports.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Where like you meant to have a good composition of supports and cores and whatever.
The Apex equivalent of that is like when you drop and someone who really wants to go somewhere, nice one, Jonesy, is not the jump master, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And
they peel off.
They ping every 5 seconds for where they want to go. When they realize you're not going there, they peel off, and you're like, you've lost.
Yeah.
You've made yourself like solo in a 3-man game.
Yeah.
Just because it's not
what's
what
the
you
point?
want doesn't mean you
What's
can't
the-
come
yeah,
back and
exactly.
you can win the
What's
whole
the
thing.
point?
Yeah.
Also, someone might know more than you do. Like, they might be going there because of a reason, or they've got to play.
But there's until the event that's running at the moment, there was never technically a reason to go anywhere unless you liked it or it was in the high loot zone.
But people still definitely think, like, oh, I know where you should go because it's the...
Yeah.
They're all going to have their opinions,
But
right?
it's funny you mention that because I want to say, I forget what it's called. It's called like Deja Loot or something like that.
Yeah.
But the current event at the moment, if you opt into it, is all the loot is the same in every single match.
Oh, right,
It's in
okay.
the same place. So if you know where a certain weapon is and you want to try and drop there first, like go for it.
Everyone
everyone's
goes
going to
there.
be dropping on where like level 3 or level 4 armors are.
Yeah,
and,
fair enough.
I'd love to play that and then go to places where you know it's only Mozambique's just to piss off your team. And they're just like, have you played before? Like, yeah, every day I play.
That sounds like a Steph Murphy tactic right there.
Mozambique, yeah.
Mozambique, yeah.
Don't want that.
But guys,
Gibraltar's been nerfed.
I was vindicated a little bit, right? Because halfway through this journey of losses, I got put into low priority.
Which means
Which means people have reported you for either flaming or feeding or blah blah blah. Basically, what either happened was they were bitter that we lost the game, so they just report everyone, or I was feeding and they reported me. But sometimes, like, fuck it happens. Right?
I don't know
what's
what feeding is
in this context.
So feeding is when you die.
It's like
once.
you're literally feeding your baby with one, and so you can only play with one
Yeah,
hand.
exactly.
And,
No. So not intentional. There's intentional feeding and unintentional feeding, right? So intentional feeding is you go and you stand in front of the dude and let him kill you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But unintentional feeding is you try and make a move, but they kill you.
get
and then you
over
try
aggressive or something.
Yeah, and then and if you don't adapt to your playstyle, you keep on trying to be over aggressive, and then they just get better and better, and it's not going to work. So that happened to me 1 or 2 matches.
Right. You thought, no, I'll get him this time. And
Yeah,
then
it's like, fuck, he's down on 5% health, and I've got 15% health. I should be able to take him. It just doesn't work out in your favor. And So I got a number of reports.
Is that because they thought like maybe your mate is playing on the other team and you're purposefully dying to give them boosts?
Or whatever it may be.
Or it's like you're like...
Or you're just
it's
griefing.
yeah, exactly. You're just trying to be an arsehole.
He's trying to be a dickhead.
Like the guy on Call of Duty used to be called the team killing radio, and he gets top 40 hits through the mic, and then you go to
Kill his
hardcore
team, yeah.
playlist and fire rocket launcher for it every round. And his name on Xbox was the team killing radio.
What did you expect? But yeah, so anyway, so I went into low priority. Now, low priority is fucking hell on earth, right?
Right.
As you can imagine, because it's the worst of the worst. And the way that Dota treats it is you have to win 3 matches. Win.
And you're on an 11 loss streak.
Right? Well, this is the stage was like 6 losses, whatever. But all your teammates are flaming you. All the other teams...
Because they're all from low priority as well.
Everyone's low priority.
Oh no, so it's all feeders and flamers.
Yeah, exactly. So like, oh, what's going on? And I was like... And I was getting loss after loss, and I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to get out. So I contacted my friend Paul, and I'm like, you have to help me get out of low priority. She's like, yeah, okay, fine. I logged in again, and I was out of low priority. So this is why I feel I was vindicated. Because I didn't win any matches, but I feel like my account was reviewed, and they saw, they're like, actually, yeah, this is bullshit.
Because you think, especially if it was that someone was losing a match and reporting everyone in his team as feeding or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they must have a system that reviews the circumstances under which people were reported. Because if it was just a one-to-one of get reported, go to low priority, it would be fucked.
Yeah, of course. And not only that, obviously, like...
That could also be a type of, like people who are doing feeding and flame, that could be a type of doing that. You just do it to everyone in your team.
So to give you an example, one of the persons that said he would report me for feeding, and I was like, oh no, please don't, I'm just having a bad game, whatever. Like I don't flame in game at all. In fact, when I start a game, my tagline is like, remember to flame the opponents, not your teammates.
Aww.
Yeah, because that's how it should be, right? Tilt your opponents, don't tilt your friends. So that person who was really fucking going absolutely mad and losing it over everyone doing everything wrong, even though he's got like fucking the most atrocious KDA. And he was being racist to someone. So it's like, okay, well, I'll just fucking report this dude for being racist.
Oh, so he reported you for reporting him, maybe?
No, you can't tell who reports who.
Oh, okay.
No.
That would be fucking stupid, I suppose.
But I mean, he did say flat out, like, I'm reporting. I'm like, can't stop you.
For what? He said he was going to put you for
Yeah, but what's going to happen is that
like
like Valve were just going to look at the chat log and be like, all right, that guy's being racist and this guy's being fine. Like, all right. And I think that's what happened. Anyway, that was me in a nutshell of this week.
Where you could get reported for not being great at the game and be put in a group of people amongst like people who are racist or have intentionally lost.
Yeah.
That seems fucked up. Like if I'm a newcomer hearing that, I'm like, I'm not going to play fucking Dota.
Well,
so I'm going to be in low priority after half an hour.
Someone's going, you're not very good at this.
Sorry, mate, you're feeding. I'll be like, no, it's my first ever game. I
died.
Moron.
Well, look, to be fair...
Enjoy your dying game. I'm going to go and play auto chess. Yeah.
To be fair to that, I mean, I was playing ranked, and ranked you...
Right, yeah, I suppose so.
But, yes, Dota does have a very big problem in terms of attracting new players, and the new player experience is not
it's
there
intimidating
at all.
enough.
Oh, yeah.
Without knowing that Russians are going to, throw swear words at you and ban you and
exactly. So,
troll you and
hey,
flame you.
You know what? Next week, or not next week, the week after, whatever, I'm going to come back and I'm going to be like, I got some wins. I know I will.
Hey.
I know I will.
That's your objective.
But there we go. Now that's me. Jamie, what about you? I mean, come on.
I finished Vanquish.
Yeah.
It's not saying much. My final...
it's not a long game.
Right? No, like my runtime on that when I'd finished the game was like 3 hours 45 or something like that.
Shit.
It was fucking sad. No, I wasn't rushing it, but I was moving. I was hustling. And that game is still good. Good. It holds up well in some regards, not so well in others.
You can knee slide, so that's all you need.
Hey, you can still knee slide. Knee sliding still feels good. Going to slow motion still feels good. And with the sort of like resolution and frame rate improvements with the new remaster, it looks good as well.
Nice.
So that's a solid experience if you need something to fill 3 or 4 hours in your life. But most of my time this week, certainly in the last 24 hours, has been taken up with the Division 2.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which, some of which I spent playing the missions left over from the episodes that I hadn't looked into from year one.
Sure, yeah.
Some of which were actually pretty good, like the mission set in the zoo.
Oh, right,
okay.
yeah.
Was pretty
good. This Warlords of New York,
Yes.
is that technically then is that a year 2?
They haven't put out anything that they called Year 2. There's not like a Year 2 pass, but Warlords of New York is a paid expansion that's not included in Year 1.
Right.
That is the start of Year 2. So everyone, regardless of how much money you put into the Division 2 up to now, has to buy Warlords of New York.
And I guess that's why the price for the Division 2 dropped so low. It was like 95% off on the Ubisoft store.
The Division 2 was, I think it was $2.99 US, £2.50 UK. So if you wanted the Division 2 and didn't buy it yet, like
it's dirt cheap.
No, the sale's over.
Oh, yeah. So it's gone back up to a long price.
Yeah. Well, so here's the weird thing.
I'm sure a couple of places are.
The Division 2 on its own is now gone back up to, like, in the UK, £20-25. If you buy Warlords of New York and the Division 2 at the same time, the equivalent price of the Division 2 is still like £5.
Right.
But in terms of them basically giving it away, that's over. Okay. And if you didn't get it in that time, like, what were you thinking?
Sorry for you.
I bought a second copy of the Division 2 on PC. It was £2.50.
So why not?
Yeah. It was like,
plus now you've got a PC, so you get all of that chromatic aberration.
If they ever pull their finger out and put cross save in the game, then I'm there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Warlords of New York, it kind of feels like they've reached the point that a lot of loot-based games and sort of faux MMOs, quasi-MMOs reach in their runtime, where they're like, right, we need to address things. People sort of fell off over the course of Season 1. We need to kind of refresh things a little bit. So they've put out a paid expansion with a lot of new story and narrative content, and also releasing it alongside a pretty hefty update that updates and changes a lot of the game systems.
Because hold on, wasn't Division 2 is not set in New York?
No, it's set in Washington, D.C. So this is... Warlords of New York, the story takes place in New York. So you physically go to a helicopter that loads you into a new area. It's about half the size of DC. And obviously, it's time-wise removed from the Division 1 and also is not winter anymore. So you get a slightly different feeling New York.
But is it after the events of... Like,
yes, it's after the events. And it's the antagonist of Warlords of New York is a guy called Aaron Keener, who was one of the Division agents who turned rogue in the First Division. So he's been around for a while. So there's some interesting narrative hooks there. I think the main thing that people are interested to see, though, is the fact that the gear system has been completely reworked and overhauled.
Oh, all right.
So for anyone that didn't play, gear and inventory management and loot in the Division 2 had kind of become a nightmare. It was like the minutiae of figuring out which weapons and armor items were actually better than what you already had became a real fucking pain in the ass. Everyone's inventory was full. Everyone's stash was full. They basically said, look, if you buy Warlords of New York, we're going to increase the level cap from 30 to 40. We're going to kind of get rid of a bunch of stuff and kind of make it feel like you're starting again with a better system. And it is absolutely a better system.
It's like a Loot 2.0.
Exactly. Gear 2.0, I think, is even what some people...
I only played a little bit of Division 2. And
you played like 15 minutes,
I think I played 2 hours, that was it.
Yeah.
And that gear system was horrible.
Well, the funny thing
even
is,
early on,
you didn't see the part of it that's the problem.
No, but even those early stuff was horrible because you'd keep finding weapons that you were like, I think I've got this. I don't think I've got that. Then you had just the way that you could do the upgrades.
If that was your problem, that's still kind of a problem.
But then the main thing was like all the upgrade stuff and the slightly different, all that stuff in Division I hate anyway. Like,
because it never really just related to the DPS of it, right? Like.
Yeah, it never gave you a flat DPS number.
So then you had to kind of try and maybe that, but can I upgrade? And it was so involved. It was just
like a weapon would drop with it had a roll for its actual damage output, but then obviously the RPM and the magazine size would have an effect on the DPS. But it also had talents, and an armor would roll with attributes that might boost your armor or your headshot damage or your crit chance, but they also had talents, but talents can have requirements. So you had to have like your build had to be constructed in a certain way. They've got rid of like almost all of that stuff. And now things still have roles, but rather than just like a raw percentage, it's got a bar next to it that tells you how good is that actual role. So if you get if you're like level 32 and you're an hour into Warlords of New York and you get a weapon that actually has the best possible roll for headshot damage, that bar will be full. And it said, dude, you've just got a god roll. And so recalibration, the way it used to work was you could take one attribute like that, take it off that gun and put it on another gun. Recalibration is now a library. So you can take it off that gun and just store it.
Okay. That's cool.
And so when you're level 40 and you're getting the best possible gear, you've got a best possible roll for headshot damage in your library, and you can stick it on a new gun.
That's cool.
So builds there's new exotics, new weapons, But I guess the big question to round it up is this going to be for the Division 2 what Reaper of Souls was for Diablo or Taken King was for Destiny? And I think the answer is no. I think this is a great update for people that still want to be interested in the Division 2.
Sure.
I just don't think there's enough here for people to start playing it as they might have started playing Destiny around the time of the
I guess it's like me, right? Like, I wasn't interested in joining in Division 2, so this is probably not going to bring me in.
Right. Like, and I get that the game was as cheap as it's ever going to be like 2 weeks ago, and this is really, I think, their big push, and I think this will see them through to an inevitable Division 3. Yeah, like this will set them way for the next year or two, but I don't think this is going to be the thing that makes the Division like the must-play game of the summer.
Yeah, okay.
It's just good for people who wanted to return to that universe or never left and just wanted it to be better.
Right. I don't think it will take me back to it.
No, because for you, you're looking at going back, actually getting invested in a game that didn't grab you to begin with, and then paying £25.
Exactly, yeah. So it's not something I'm going to go, let me just drop some more money and see if I can get back into this. Like,
although some of that stuff, like the gear stuff, was rolled out in the update rather than the expansion, so that is like
it should make stuff better. In the
you'd be able to notice some of the improvements, but you wouldn't get actual new shit.
Well, another games as a service that we didn't play was more Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, Sea of Thieves died a death in terms of our little
only
band
for this
of pirates.
week. We might go back to
you're
it.
Going to get back on it.
Only if one of you guys play it. I'm not.
I'd be keen. Okay, but you've been playing anything else? Because there is something that we've all been playing.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I don't think I've played anything else of note, really. I've still got a massive to-do list, and I just need to get the Division 2 out of my system, which will probably happen in the next week or so, and then I'll crack on.
I just wanted to talk about one other thing. Funny enough, a game that I haven't played in a very long time, but I just thought I'd mention it.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be going back to South Africa, as I mentioned, just for, a week and a half. And usually when I go there, I get a new game. If somebody's timing me over. Usually it's on PC. Now, the last time that I had a very long time going to SA, I had to go and visit my folks for whatever reason, blah, blah, blah. And I was there for a while, and I was like, cool, I'm going to get 2 games. So I bought Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cracking game. Absolutely amazing.
So I've heard.
But I also bought this game that was number 1 on Steam at the time, and it was called Windward.
Windward?
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
No,
like, is it going towards the wind kind of thing,
right?
And top-down, you control a ship, like a pirate ship, but you're doing trade, right? And eventually you upgrade the ship, and then you can do battles, but pirates try and take a thing.
Okay.
It was so fucking good. And I've been thinking about it recently, because obviously I'm like, okay, what game am I going to get for this trip to USA? And I was like, fuck yeah, remember that game? I wonder what it's doing these days. It was number 1 on Steam for a very long time, and it was like...
How many years ago was this?
Maybe it wasn't...
Did Total Biscuit do a video on it? Because I
probably, yeah.
WTF is Windward.
I feel like I might read this.
R.I.P. Total Biscuit.
Windward was quality. It was such a good film. Game.
The phones are out, folks.
The phones are out. We're checking it.
We're at the races.
Anyway,
Jonesy's Googling, tapping away.
Yeah, when did it come out?
Some live fact checking.
Alyx.
Oh god, there's too many things for
the world's slowest
Windward game.
The world's slowest Googler.
He's getting into it. That's the one. Look at it.
It came out in May 2015.
It's such a good game.
I may have noticed it when it came out then.
It's such a good game.
Definitely didn't play.
Anyway, if you want a little bit of a distraction, that's like a fun piratey kind of adventure. That's not Sea of Thieves, and it's a top-down kind of isometric thing.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
If I didn't play this, I played something very similar.
Yeah, it's a good game
for a bit.
It's a good game. Right, but then let's maybe talk about the game that we did all play. You touched on it. I said I hadn't played any games except other than Dota, but I have. It's this, and you got on it as well.
We have all finished it.
Yes, which is the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo that dropped.
Yes.
On PlayStation. When did it drop? 2 days ago. 3 days.
Yeah, do you know it was 2 days ago? 2 days ago.
2 days ago. It's not very long. It's only about an hour and a half.
Short but sweet.
I think I'm close to an hour, but
yeah,
I might just be a pro gamer compared to you guys.
Maybe, yeah. Or you selected the fucking easy mode.
No, I looked at them because I was like, hang on a second, what's the difference between regular and classic?
Yeah, it was kind of confusing the way they laid it out.
Classic sounded like easier than easy, almost, unless I misread it.
Yeah, because it was like on auto.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I don't want it to do things for me, so I just picked regular or normal, whatever they called it.
Yeah, I think me too. man, that
Yeah,
game is cool.
you start us off because you're the Final Fantasy VII guy.
So am I the only one that's played like OG Final Fantasy VII? Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played it. No.
Okay, so I played it about a year after it initially came out. I played it on PC. All right, so I must have been like 14 years old, and it came in like fucking, I don't know, 8 million CD-ROMs that you had to kind of like load into after every chapter or whatever it was. And I was fucking...
Those were the days.
Yeah.
You had to code the game yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
and I was fucking blown away by this game. And to this day, it remains like one of my top... When we were on ATG and we made a list of like, retro games that aren't as good as you remember, and I fought to have Final Fantasy VII on there because I don't believe it is the best game. But it is a top game for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it definitely...
And for a lot of other people as well. Like,
oh, yeah.
A shitload of people.
It changed the way I saw narrative within games.
Right.
For sure. So I got a lot of, like, fond memories there. And then going... So now, I don't know if you remember, when the PS3 launched, Square Enix released a tech demo that was like, this is what Final Fantasy VII could look like if we released it on PS3, but we're not gonna. But this is what it looks like.
The thing that kind of planted the seed for people wanting a full-on remake.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to the constant remasters and ports.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, obviously, we know it's a thing. It's coming out next month.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
You can say that now because it's March.
Yes. But yeah, it's
38 days, I think it is, until it's coming out.
Yeah.
You got a little app on your phone.
No, I think
countdown app.
I looked up to see when the release day was, and it had on there. It came up and said how many days until release, and I was like, okay.
But so
I've got an app on my phone, and it says how many days until, like, how long until Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out, and it just says after Doom Eternal.
Fair enough. But yeah, so the demo is available now. We've all played it. Playing through that demo, it is the first section of the game as you remember it, if you do remember it, if you did play it.
So is that where the game starts?
That is exactly where the game starts. Is Cloud jumps off of the train and you go to blow up the Mako reactor. And the demo's up until and including the blowing up of that reactor, which means a boss fight as well.
Yes.
It was cool. And there's so much about it that kind of like kicks in the nostalgia, but it's also a game that is very kind of future looking in terms of what it's doing. It's interesting, right? Because obviously I'm coming to it from the perspective of I've played this game. And I've always wondered, like, if someone liked this game, the OG version of it, the original, the legacy title, how are they going to feel about this? I like it. Do other people not like it? I don't know. But then the other side of it is, for you chuckleheads who've never fucking played it,
I would kind of love to play both alongside each other at the same time, like chapter by
I can fire up my PSP and you can actually buy it on your phone.
Yeah, you can get it on iOS.
Can you really?
Final Fantasy VII HD,
Wow, okay.
Or on Steam, and like it's been ported.
Oh, it's like everywhere.
Right.
I think even on PS4 you can get Final Fantasy VII like non-remake.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah.
It's never been something I've wanted to play, if I'm being honest.
It's, you know, if you had to play that game now, you'd have a shit time, I think, because it's such a labor to kind of. Back in the day, it was like that's how you do games, right? But now it's like I don't want these random encounters with a loading screen, and then you go into it and you fight for 5 seconds, and then you get this thing, you know, like it's definitely rooted in the past, but it's got such a fucking great story, man. But yeah. But you guys played it. What are your thoughts? I'm keen to hear.
I think Jonesy should go first because you've got the most. I'm going to split the difference between the two of you. So I'm.
Okay, so the only minor experience with Final Fantasy is I played Final Fantasy 15 for about 4 hours, I think.
Right.
And the reason I played
Add it to the list, boys.
But the reason I played that was because it looks amazing.
Oh yeah.
And I've always wanted to play, like, every time there's a Final Fantasy game comes out, I'm like, it looks incredible. Like, the world looks amazing. I have never played one. I would really like to. I had a really weird thing with 15 was because it wasn't what I'm used to. Open world games being like something like Grand Theft Auto, right?
Sandbox.
And you can kind of do whatever you want in that world, or even games like Assassin's Creed, whatever, where you kind of jump in and you go, oh, where shall I go? Or more RPGs where you can like Fallout, where you go, oh, I'm going to walk in this direction. There's nothing to stop you. And 15 was weird because it wasn't like that at all.
Yeah.
It was very much of a handholdy experience from what I'm used to.
So
that's my own experience.
But what Final Fantasy does is it always starts off like that, and then it opens up.
Right. So then with this, I was fully anticipating it to be like that. So I could
What,
never...
linear, like Final Fantasy?
No,
15?
no. I was expecting it to be
open world.
fake open world, but
Okay,
hand holding and that. So when it was much more linear, I preferred it. I thought it was pretty good. It reminded me pretty quickly of Nier Automata, which I've played a lot of and did enjoy.
Yeah.
But it looks a fuck lot better than Nier Automata looks. Yeah. It's a very pretty game. I know all the I know a lot of the characters. I don't know all the characters because working on gaming channel.
Yeah.
It wasn't. The combat was a bit odd. I'm not going to lie. That's what I was expecting. So it's that Final Fantasy combat where it's like, do this move and this thing, and you can just click a button and you'll attack. It's much more of a... It's more... I think I said at one point to Jamie, it's something I can see why you like it, because it's almost like a PC game on console.
Yeah.
A little bit more methodical.
Yeah, and you can hit a button to pause time to do
which
something.
You didn't do.
Which I didn't do. As soon as I
Oh,
figured
right.
out.
So you use the hotkeys or whatever they are.
Fair enough.
You can hold down the trigger.
Yeah, I didn't do the hotkeys. I
You
see.
literally hold L1, hit triangle.
All the
yeah,
abilities
like
have bindings on the controller, so you don't actually need to slow down time.
So there's another thing where you could go into the menu and you could say, right, this person's skill, map it to this direction pad.
Oh, okay. So then you can just do it without having to even do that.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I like
Which
that,
I didn't get into that nitty gritty of it, because obviously it's just a demo.
So the combat was fun. I did quite enjoy the combat. It was a little odd having one attack and then having to switch stances in order to do like a heavy attack, and it is a little bit formulaic in like, oh, you staggered the big thing, now you go ham on it, and you. But I'll tell you what I didn't like was switching characters. I don't like that. Like, oh, you want to shoot something which is above you, you better switch characters to the big guy, and I'm like, oh, do me a favor.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. That felt a little bit clumsy to me as well, but I think that's probably going to be something that as soon as you get used to it, it's going to be so fluid. Towards the end of that match with that boss, I was fucking on the fly just switching it up.
I was as well, to be fair.
Do you know what I mean? I think if you play it enough and it becomes ingrained in your muscle memory, it's going to be such a natural thing.
I will say though, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Like I said, I liked a lot about it. The dialogue is cringy as all hell.
Oh yeah, cheese central, isn't it? Especially that bit where Barrett's in the lift. He's like, "Can't you hear the planet is crying out in pain?"
He's just that dude. Like, he stands in front of you, and you could say one word in a normal voice, and then he just yells in your face about nothing. You're like, I don't know what's going on. But I don't know why this guy's so fucking.
But this is the weird thing, right? Because the OG Final Fantasy VII was just all text,
right?
And it was obviously not just text. It was what a lot of us know was just translation, right? Like a bad translation. Like a notoriously bad translation. It's like, oh well, and then you've got this character that's like Barrett was like this big black dude, and he kind of talks with a bit of ebonics, and it's just like, oh, dude,
in text though.
Yeah, it was in text. So
great.
They kind of have to do it, but then also, did they really have to do it?
Well, I suppose they do, because they're trying to reconnect with, like you said, with a bit of the people that have played it before.
Yeah,
and they
sure.
need to... But hey, I enjoyed it more than I thought.
You said you started to like find it a bit charming towards the end of it.
I got into it a lot more toward the end, and do you know what it did do? It reminded me of the games of like Japanese games that I did play when I was younger that aren't that. So even the things like the way things came in the top of the screen, like when it on the blue line and the text above it, is very Japanese. And games like Gundam and stuff like that, like very similar. And there's a whole load of other games I've played which have that. And so there's little things that I was like, oh, I recognise this. Oh, I'm getting that nostalgia from games I used to play, but not Final Fantasy games. At the same time, like, I don't think I'm going to be buying it day one. I'm certainly not going to pre-order it. I think it will be... I'll see how it does. I'll see how people react to it. But I do want to play more of it.
But you know how people are going to react to it.
Okay, I'll try and see how people that aren't those people react to it.
Well, the thing is, when you finish that demo, it goes straight to a fucking order page.
But not just order the normal version, or spend 80 quid and order the friggin' deluxe digital version.
Guess what I'm doing?
What are demos for?
Guess what I'm doing?
Yeah, I guess so.
They're trying to sell the game. You know.
I'm gonna pre-order that digital deluxe because I want that fucking Chocobo materia.
I did like that you can pick how long to put on the timer for the bottom, and when I picked 20 minutes, and it was like, cocky bastard.
I picked 30, and he was like, why, you picked 34? You think you need all the time in the world?
I was like, no, I'm 20.
And I probably had like 27 minutes on the clock by the time I got out. And it was like, well, okay. All right. I should probably stop doing that.
Yeah, probably.
And then the bomb doesn't even blow the factory up.
Oh yeah,
the
they
laser,
like self-destruct.
the lasers go off because they want to try and kill you with the blast.
Yeah, because the Quiet Man's all angry. Not the Quiet Man of V3 fame, but
yeah, man, that combat just feels so fluid to me. The whole game feels like butter. I know you said there was some issues that you had with the camera. I had the same issues.
Yeah, that was weird. That
a little bit stilted. Also, not clear when you could and couldn't control the camera. So it was a bit jarring. We're like, oh, okay, I'll just move the camera. And I was like, oh, no, oh, fine, I can't. Okay.
The lock-on was slightly odd as well in that it felt like if you lock on and then you turn the camera, the lock-on would disengage, and then, which was odd. And then
yeah, hopefully they sort that out a bit. But an interesting note is the game's director said that they were very close to making the combat system the same as in Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm very glad that they didn't.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's an interesting one. There's a couple of other little tidbits. We'll get to your reactions in a second, but a couple of other tidbits, right? Just a reminder that this game is episodic, although we don't know how many episodes there are going to be.
God, yeah.
So this is the first part of it, and it's just everything that's set inside of the city. So it's giving you an understanding of kind of the greater story. Everything that happens in the city is about maybe 15% of the game.
Oh, okay.
And then after that, you go out into the world, and that's when it becomes truly open world.
Oh, because that's interesting. Because at the end of the demo, you get like a little trailer, and it's all based in the city.
Yeah.
So I did wonder if that was the rest of the game.
Was where a lot of the confusion comes from, because I've heard the time estimate to be like in the original Final Fantasy VII, 5 to 6 hours you would spend in Midgar. People would say.
Well, sure, yeah.
And now they're making the whole game out of that, and they're saying that scale-wise, they're aiming for the same scale as Final Fantasy 13. So that they're they're taking 5 or 6 hours of content and extrapolating it into 40, 50, I don't even know.
But they're also
so this whole game is now set in the city.
The whole game's set in the city,
Which is
there are some stuff like there are some visually diverse areas, like so there have been preview events for the last couple of weeks, and if you see some of the footage that came out of that, there were like the slums outside of the city and stuff like that.
Oh, so how is this a remake then? If they're only taking 5%,
that's the thing. I don't know. It's just a remake that they're breaking up into parts, and for some reason the first part is called Final Fantasy VII Remake.
But what they did say as well is that they're getting this out because it's the biggest chunk that they've had to kind of deal with.
Yeah.
And then once you go out, because all of the tech now is done and all of the character animations are done, so now it's just a question of building the rest of the regions or whatever.
So is there an idea of how long this chunk is?
They're not other than saying relating to
They said same as Final Fantasy 13 was the quote that I saw.
Right.
Which is like a full Final Fantasy game. There's some things that they had to kind of fix in order to deal with that. So towards the end of the Midgar section, you escape from the Shinra building. So the Shinra is the guys that run the Mako reactor. It's a company, right? And you meet up with an experiment called Red 13, which is that wolf thing that you might have seen in the trailers.
I've seen images of him.
So he is in the original game, he's a playable character that you add to your party, blah, blah. You save him from the science lab, etc. But because it happens at the end of the Midgar City section, he's not going to be playable in this remake.
Right.
And he'll be playable in the next version. But what they were saying is his character arc, etc., it wouldn't make sense for them to introduce a playable character at the end of a game.
Sure.
So it's fair. It's fair enough. They've also had to, I don't know how, but they are introducing Sephiroth, which is the main bad dude, in the Midgar City section.
Yes.
When in the game, he only is talked about in hushed tones until about midway through the game.
Right.
Yeah, there's already some footage of trailer appearances for Sephiroth. So.
Yeah. So it's some interesting stuff. Another thing that I thought was really fucking interesting was that they used. So I don't know if you remember, they released a movie called Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, which is meant to be like a sequel, and it looked really fucking good, right? Like obviously they're really good at their cinematics, but they've used that Advent Children as a benchmark for their graphics for this game.
Oh wow!
And for the cutscenes. So it's quite a high bar.
But am I right in saying they didn't use the same assets? They intentionally created new ones. Yeah.
And what they've done is they've kind of retconned the story a bit to be more fluid into going into the Advent Children story. So what were you thinking?
I mean, I'm on the same page as you guys in a lot of respects. I'd say my stance on it has improved from when it was announced.
Yeah.
At which point I basically said to myself, this is not going to be for me in the same way Final Fantasy VII at this point in time isn't for me. It's not something I'd go back to play, even if it is a rather sort of gaping hole in my gaming background.
Don't say gaping
gaping hole.
Oh my god!
But you know what I mean. It's like it's one of the bigger games, like historically speaking, that I have to put my hands up and say never even touched it.
To be fair, you weren't born yet, so.
When? No, I would have been
you
born.
were
97?
It was 97, yeah.
So I was 4. But I'm a little bit more optimistic now that Final Fantasy VII Remake could perhaps be my way into that.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
because you were quite hot on the demo that we played at Gamescom, right?
Yeah, and I was hot on the demo that we've just played now for largely the same reason. I agree with you that I think it looks really nice. Like visually, I think it's very appealing, and the way it would move quite seamlessly from cutscenes into gameplay, and everything has kind of like a nice amount of flair and a level of polish that I was kind of, generally speaking, very impressed with. It was also just felt quite... There was some stuff that were a little bit like, okay, I can see where you're using workarounds here, because like the way that Cloud interacts with certain elements of the environment, like mantling over things or jumping. It's like a little square you walk on and he'll automatically do it. And it was like, okay, you're not going to put a jump in here because you're not making a fully free-form game.
Oh, I've got another one for you. There's one section where you're on a ground floor and there's literally like a little bit of a platform.
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, come up here. Just use the lift to get in here. So you go there, you press the button, then a slight like in-game cutscene where the lift closes, it brings you up, it opens again, and then you walk out. You're like, you could have just made some stairs, but you wanted to hide a loading screen, didn't you?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It is a bit of one of those kind of games. I can tell already, like when the environment switches up a bit, there are going to be ledges that are like 6 feet above cloud that it can't go up on. You're like, for fuck's sake. But that's the game.
Yeah.
But I think the combat is the real winner here.
Man, so
like,
good.
I'm genuinely impressed with the way they've developed this hybrid system in that, again, I didn't play the original, but it feels like it's delivering on everything that people who played the original and like the turn-based style would want, while modernizing it in a way that makes so much sense for today's audiences.
Yeah.
And I think, generally speaking, like, even the more mashy stuff, like mashing square to build up your meter, felt good. But unlike Jonesy, I really appreciated the ability to slow down time and think a little bit more and swap between characters, tee stuff up. I was occasionally frustrated at how slowly the character I wasn't controlling was building up their meter.
Yes, yeah,
I was like,
I
how
agree
the
with you.
fuck doesn't Barrett have a meter
All the time.
What have you been doing? If I switch to you, I'll fill that meter in 3 seconds by holding down square. Shoot!
Shoot her!
But there were also like the moment towards the end of, you mentioned there's a boss fight in the demo, and the Sentinel Scorpion.
Yes.
The moment where you're getting towards the end of that, and both characters have got their, what's the big move called?
Oh, the limit break?
The limit break.
Oh, those
and like,
limit breaks
where
are
you're kind
great.
of like you're thinking like, right, I'm gonna build up my my meter, and we're gonna do this move and that move, and we're gonna stagger it, and when stagger it's in a weakened state, then we're gonna do our limit breaks and we'll smash it. Like when you're pulling that stuff off, you feel smart, but it's also still dynamic.
Yeah.
You're not quite like stacking stuff up in the way you might a turn-based game. You're doing it with enough urgency that it feels like it's the best of both worlds, basically.
See, I just hammed it with like square. Chop,
See,
chop, chop,
yeah.
chop, 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 and then
No.
I had so many goddamn potions.
You're not getting the most of it. Yeah, I was doing potions. I was
It
doing
didn't matter.
spells. I was doing
Yeah.
I had to do that stuff as well, but I wasn't like I
was throwing grenades.
Barrett casts Cure or whatever to
yeah.
Literally every time that Barrett was recharged, I just dropped that thunderbolt thingy, and then I just went mental on it again with my sword. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was like,
Man,
this is easy.
I thought the combat system was really good, and the thing that they didn't show off, which is still kind of an unknown as how it's going to be, although we've seen some footage of it, is the summons.
Right.
So in Final Fantasy games, you summon a creature, it comes in with a cutscene, and it does damage and it leaves.
Right.
But now what they've done is you summon this thing that has its own hit bar and its own AI, and it fucking goes
Oh,
through.
right, okay. That's
Which is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I thought the fact that you could pull off all those abilities and that it lands with the same satisfaction as though you'd pulled it off yourself. As though it was a move that was one-to-one to like a button on a controller or a combo that you could pull off. I thought that was what was really successful about it. My reservations come from a similar place as Jonesy's, which I don't mind the kind of the cringy, cheesy dialogue so much.
Yeah.
But what I did worry about was that while I accepted the dialogue, it felt like you created a wall between me and liking or caring about any of those characters. Like I can tell you after an hour with Cloud, there's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Ah,
And
okay.
we're
He is a shell of a human being that I Jesse is like Jesse. In fact, all of them basically, apart from Wedge, because he's a man after my own heart.
I messaged these guys and they said, Jamie, you're Wedge. And I said, Jonesy, you're Biggs. And then Jamie said, well, does that mean that you're Barrett?
Where the hell did Biggs go?
Yeah, him. He just
vanishes.
Okay, I can.
Wedge vanishes, to be fair, as well.
No, Wedge waits to protect your exit, and he stays by the door.
Yeah.
Biggs literally opens a door and then disappears.
But you see, this is great because I can tell you now, Wedge, Biggs, and Jesse,
Like
not part of the story.
Right. Okay.
But also, like, I'm sure what people are going to say, and I'm sure it's accurate, is that over time, I will learn to love Cloud and all these other characters. But if the writing stays consistent, it's always going to be kind of a weird. This is going to sound harsh, but people might know what I mean. Charming in a Japanese way.
Oh yeah, I get
But like, I can't see myself. I don't see how a story grows from this premise that becomes like one of the greatest gaming stories.
So
I don't see it.
You know how you say Cloud is like a shell?
Yeah.
That is by design at the start of the game.
Like,
so I will say that. Like,
I'm sure it is, but even
where
people,
he goes,
even people that aren't meant to be shells at the start of the game, like Jesse and Barrett, they're caricatures.
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, totally.
We said it with Barrett especially. It was like,
And like
Mr. T.
What I found myself asking was like, I don't know how long this game is meant to be, but let's say for the sake of argument, it might be 60, 70 hours. Do I want to be Cloud?
It won't be that.
I don't know. Even 40. Do I want to be Cloud for 40 hours? Do I want Barrett in my ear for 40 hours? I don't know if yes is the answer to these questions.
The answer is yes, yes, and yes.
Nothing has made me not want to try it. I just have reservations.
Do you think you're gonna get it like when it comes out, or are you gonna wait?
At this rate, probably, because I want to say Resident Evil 3 comes out first.
Yeah.
Which way round do those two come out?
Yes, I think so.
If Resident Evil 3 comes out first, I could see myself finishing that up.
So you would have
quickly.
finished Doom.
Finish Doom in a week, finish Resi in a week, give myself a little bit more of a run time for
Unless we're streaming Resi or
Unless
doing
we're
Let's
making
Plays
content
rather.
on
Let's
Resi.
Plays.
Well, even with Resi 2, which we streamed all of, I finished it in my own time and streamed the whole thing also on the channel. So,
I'll tell you one
not
reason
the end
I'm not going to play it when it comes out is because there's a game that I keep nearly buying.
hang on. There's an out or not out?
That's out. I've been out for a while.
Give us
Resi 2.
Oh yeah.
Because I've wanted to play it.
To be fair, it'll take Jonesy like 3 months to finish it. So
I've wanted to play for ages, and I'm waiting, and I keep being other things I want to play, and then I'm like, as soon as I've got nothing that I'm playing, I really like Resi 2 when we played it.
But Resi 2,
really
it's a short game as well, dude. So it's like you
so
can
you
wedge
get
it into something.
I just need to finish Bioshock first. and pray.
Jesus.
No,
and pray now.
And Death Stranding.
I saw it and Jesus Christ, and Death Stranding. So I saw it today. Like I nearly bought Resi 2 today, and I was like,
how much was it?
22 quid.
Okay.
You could probably get a cheaper price for that if you. Wait for the Steam sales,
which is why I'm not keen on getting it yet. But because I've played like a couple of hours at the an event, and I really enjoyed it. Like, thought it was really good, but it's never really fit in the slot for me. But,
you know what's going to be the best thing?
Yeah.
Because we now know Death Stranding on PC is coming up very soon. So Jonesy's going to look at it and say, "Oh, just start again."
No, I'm not. That's getting finished in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, good, because it's coming out on June 2nd on PC.
Don't make promises.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. You heard it here first.
You're writing checks your body can't cash.
2 weeks.
But yeah, some interesting stuff from the Death Stranding PC stuff is they've kind of like teamed up with Valve, and you can get like a whole bunch of Half-Life cosmetics. You can get a little red valve at the back of your head. It looks like you can get the gloves from Half-Life Alyx.
Oh, right, okay.
Right, and you can get a head crab. You know?
That's the one I've seen most images of. It.
Yeah.
I hate all that
Norman
stuff
Reedus
in Death
wearing a
Stranding.
head
Though.
It's very stupid.
It's like the
I wonder
stupid
if it-
the otter hat.
But it does something for you.
That's Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
That stuff is the worst stuff in the game.
But it makes you
It's
good
so
at
cringe.
swimming. I wonder if like the head
It
crab
makes you do
gives
this
you
on the
something.
river.
Well, do that again. I want to see what it looks like on the camera.
Oh yes.
It's not-
It's like
creepy as I
you
thought.
won't drown. You can steer yourself much better, and you're like, I'm steering myself.
But of course, unlocked frame rates and widescreen support on
Photo mode as well.
photo mode, which is pretty cool.
That's a gorgeous game.
But talking about
Half-Life.
Half-Life Alyx,
Yes.
not Alex Jones.
No, it's
Alex with a Y.
very nearly upon us. For as much as we
Alyx.
talk about Doom and Animal Crossing, March is also the month of Half-Life
The
Alyx.
23rd.
It's mental.
Bloody way. Excuse me. And he
Just
choked
trying
on
to
a Skittle.
talk. This is what happens when you two keep munching Skittles
They're
throughout the
tasty.
podcast. You're going to choke at some
They're the
point.
fancy blue ones. Yeah, we had 3 video drops.
3 new trailers.
3 pretty short, but still fairly action-packed
Nice
gameplay videos.
They
Slices.
yeah,
from
they
each
told you
from each
everything you
area.
needed to know, right?
You had
Yeah.
some horror stuff. You had some cool physics stuff. And you also had some sort of like environmental combine kind of world building stuff.
And actually, like the third video was just a straight up
Oh,
shootout.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the way that they had you were sneaking around fighting head crab people.
Yeah.
And then you had the video where you could see like massive combine ships and you could see like some of the world.
Yeah.
And then, but I tell you, some of the scary stuff from like sneaking around, like taking out head crabs, that kind of made me worry a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's going
I'll-
to be too
I'm going to
horror.
shit my pants in VR.
Man,
while
when,
I'm
when,
playing.
that, when that first trailer came out and it was like the first of the 3 in the train line, the
That's the
underground,
one.
and the video starts, it's like hardly any music, and you just hear, I was like, oh my god. I can just imagine that I would be doing those sounds while
probably
trying to
will.
sneak around.
I was going to say, like, Half-Life 2 wasn't a not scary game. Like, it had
Ravenholm
tense
was
moments.
scary,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Like, and there are some... It's atmospheric, let's say.
Yeah.
And Half-Life Alyx looks to be picking that up immediately.
Definitely.
You're the VR guy.
Yeah,
No,
go on.
I'm totally there. I'm totally there. But I will say, okay, I've played some scary VR games,
Yeah.
and they can be okay.
You made me play Resident Evil 7. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, we did. But there's I don't know. There's a
Your
weird
knees were
thing.
wobbly.
I nearly fell over.
I don't get scared at films, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I do get scared at games. And Dead Space, the first one, freaked me out, and I had to have my wife, then girlfriend, come and sit with me in the room to play it. And some sections of it, I had to like keep the light on because
was that why you got married? Because they announced Dead Space 2 and you said, I need to keep her around.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise I can't play it.
They're going to keep pumping out these games. Little did you know.
There's a couple of so I've played a few sort of like VR, not out and out scary like zombie games because I probably wouldn't buy them if they're not horror games.
Yeah.
But where they have sections like even Arizona Sunshine has got parts where
Yeah,
you're
sure.
underground and it's dark, and that's not a freaky zombie game, but it does add elements of it when
Oh, big time.
you're in the dark.
You just
and can't
reminded me.
see.
Final Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
Before they officially announced it, they released a VR title called, was it The Kitchen?
The kitchen, yeah, the one where you're strapped to a chair.
Oh yes.
And that was freaky as fuck.
So this the only thing with Half-Life Alyx is I do worry there's going to be sections of that game where I'm going to be like struggling to do it because I'm going to be in VR and there's going to be there's a part in that video where a head crab jumps at the person, they turn around and shoot it like midair.
Yeah.
And I was just,
the end of the first gameplay video is them being like attacked by
On either side, yeah.
on either side, and they're like kind of turning around really quickly. trying to...
I did like how
Because of course you have to manually reload. And you're probably dropping clips, and you're like, oh.
Although how
it's
cool,
jammed.
how cool did all of that shit look though?
it did look
Most
wicked.
of it looked very cool.
Well, they were doing that sort of they were augmenting their gun and they were doing a few other things in one of the
Yeah,
videos. And then she was like hanging the bucket on the
Yes.
thing and picking stuff up.
Or
and
there's
moving
a
it and-
classic doorway with planks of wood across it.
Yeah.
And she was ripping off the planks of wood and throwing them on the ground.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
Like I don't know about you guys, but I was watching that stuff and I was like, man, this is fucking next gen. Like obviously because it's not playing a game, it's living the game because you are doing physical movements. But just in terms of all of the physics and a bit of an esoteric way of looking at it as well, and saying like, even to the point where they are, what's the word? Thinking about how you are interacting with the environment. So never mind like graphical fidelity, just the way that they're thinking of like, oh, how do we lay out all of this stuff?
Yeah.
How do you interact with, like you mentioned with the gun, to augment your gun, you put it in to this contraption, and then a contextual menu gets projected and you look at it and you select stuff. Rather than
it's all
like a
very
menu
cool,
popping up.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
stuff like that's like really fucking
And this
cool.
is like one of the things you got to credit Valve for is, for as much as they kind of pioneered a lot of the early VR tech and software,
Yeah.
one thing they have done in that field, and they've done in other fields in the past, is they've been happy to sit back and observe and say, we've got to wait until we know what this space needs and what people want in this space before we make something. And one thing that has been continued to be illustrated by successful pieces of VR software over the years. What was the game that the guys made? It was like a shooter that came out a few months ago.
Boneworks.
Yes.
Yeah, Boneworks.
Yeah.
And that's a great example of it. It's like, okay, we're now at a point with VR where we're starting to acknowledge that what's successful about VR is immersion, and how you succeed in creating immersion is having as many interactive elements as possible and creating as many like pieces of the world that are kind of coherent to what we imagine they should be as possible. And like what Half-Life Alyx is doing is creating those planks of wood. They're not there to serve a purpose. That's not a hidden loading screen.
Yeah.
That's Valve saying, if we can give you an interaction within the environment every, I don't know what the metric is, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, that replaces you in that world regardless of anything else that's happening, then you'll constantly feel like you're a part of it. And the atmosphere will be sold a lot better and so on and so forth. But rather than feeling like the true next-gen game for me when I was watching it, I came away from that thinking, that just happens to be the most expensive VR game I've ever seen. Not necessarily the most advanced.
Budget-wise?
Budget-wise.
Yeah.
Probably development time and maybe even development skill. Like, this is the highest skilled, biggest budgeted team that's made a VR game ever. That's what it looks like.
And it shows, yeah.
I think you're bang on, though, because it feels like it's the most fully fledged VR game project. Because you've had games that have been adapted for VR and they're full games and you can play them in VR, but they weren't made for it. This feels like the first game. And you've obviously then got other games which are made for VR specifically, but they're usually a lot shorter. They're a lot more simple. They're not one-trick ponies, but the mechanics are more basic, and the VR stuff is all there as intertwined in the world. This feels like a fully fledged VR game from start to finish. But the reason I agree with you it's not next gen for VR is because a lot of the issues I think you've still got are still going to persist. So one of the things I noticed was teleportation. Obviously, they still had in one of the trailers. They didn't have teleportation.
They switched it up, right?
They
switched it up
because they want to show you the different options.
I want to say teleportation in the first and third, but like real time movement in the second or something like that.
So the issue for me with the teleportation is, and this is a thing you get with just tethered VR, which they all are, right? Is that when you start playing that game, you might be happy to turn around and move around in the world, and they've got the system that a lot of games use where you can effectively pull things towards you, so you don't have to physically bend
Although
down.
one thing I do like is you flick it towards you and you catch it, which again is such a smart way of tweaking that formula. Rather than like saying click, hold, and it teleports to your hand, you almost have to hold, flick it up, and catch it again. And it's like, how do you change something as simple as picking up an item from the environment into something that again re-immerses someone in that environment?
Yeah, but it also makes you feel so badass. Like you see you're out of bullets, you see some shells, you flick it over to you, pick it up, fucking load it, bam, in the guy's face.
Which is again, do you remember what we saw in that first trailer where she brushes the items aside on the shelf and puts something into the gun and loads it just in time? Like they know that's what that. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted.
No, I think you're right. Like, those things, but we've seen all those things before. Maybe not in specifically in fully fledged games, but we've seen those elements, or not those specific elements, but elements like that in a lot of VR experiences. Like little interactive things, and they put it all together to make a gorgeous looking game. But until you get that proper sort of I'm in the world thing, and I don't think this is it. I think this is going to be...
But I don't think that's necessarily criticism of Valve.
No, it's not. Just a state of the tech.
I think they're making the best possible game they can at the point in time in which they've decided to enter that market.
My feeling with this is going to be because the one thing you do end up doing, and you do this with all these sorts of like first-person shooters, is you start off by standing in the middle of your room, right? Let's say you've got room scale, and you'll be moving around, walking around. By an hour in, to go backwards, you just point your teleporter thing behind you and just teleport back, and you sort of game the system in those ways, which isn't making you interact with the world in the way maybe Valve will be thinking you will.
I mean, there are hints of that in the first gameplay video, where it's like every now and then, apart from until the very final sequence when you're in the train carriage, there were shootouts that looked like they were about to become a little bit tense, and then they teleported further away and faster than you'd be able to move, just enough that I thought, you just created an amount of space that you wouldn't be able to in a first-person shooter. Yes.
But it does seem to be tied into a gameplay mechanic. So I wonder if there's going to be some kind of a cooldown or...
You can't, but if it's your core movement,
annoying.
Then you can't put a cooldown on it.
So they did that with... I want to say they did that with Fallout 4 VR. Is that you had a cooldown tied into your teleporter, and the distance you could go... so you could go really far with your teleporter, and you do it a couple of times.
Depleted more of the bar, or whatever.
And then you could only go like a really short distance. So then you ended up going like these tiny like little skips to get anywhere, and it was just frustrating.
But I kind of, especially looking at the last trailer, I feel that Valve was smart enough to structure their maps in such a way to discourage, let's call it teleportation spam, right? Because in that last one with. in that last video, there was still some teleportation going on. And some of that teleportation was specifically tied to like, I'm getting overwhelmed here. I need to recontextualize my fight. But that's why I mean, it seems like they're working that into the mechanic of it. They're making these firefights, especially that last one, man. I was watching that firefight. I was so tense that whole time because I was like, this is mad. It's so like, it's a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical, but the stakes seem a lot higher for whatever reason. Yeah. And, you know, you're obviously you're running out of rounds. You're picking shit up, putting it in the front of your gun and fucking exploding them. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I feel that they're bringing into it to say, like, teleportation is just one tool in your belt of many.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's how you get around the spam issue.
For me, I think the thing that's going to make or break the game, though, is going to be the way I feel most people end up playing VR is sat down. With like using their arms, so they're not standing up in the middle. They're just and if that game works in that way, I think it'll be fine.
It does.
No, but I mean works as in when you're playing it, if it feels fine.
Right.
Right.
And you listen, even on your spinny chair, right? If you can spin around and this is why they've got the pull stuff toward you, flick it. It's because they don't want to make it inaccessible to people that don't have the space to do it room scale. So that's fine. Like you can do it, and the teleportation exactly the same thing. They don't want to force you to have to walk around. I guarantee you'll be able to walk around though. In that environment.
So they've got 3 levels of movement, which is teleportation. On the controller, kind of move the analog stick. And then room scale movement. So
as long as the game feels right in all of those ways, and it has to work if someone's sat on their ass, not wanting to walk about and using the teleportation, using the movement thing. I think that'll be fine, but for me,
I think you've raised a very interesting point there. With that's almost like the one thing that can rub up against that sense of immersion is, does the game, just by the pure nature of the mechanics that they've had to work into it to allow you to move and feel like you can kind of interact with the environment, work against it? And the example I thought of for that was in that third gameplay clip. There's a point where they're kind of getting flanked from their right. They're hiding behind a car. And the way they stop the bullets is they open the car door.
That was cool.
That was wicked,
But the second you say to someone who's 20 hours into the game and is extremely familiar with the mechanics and the controls, actually, like, that's something that someone has done because they're recording a demo.
Sure.
Does the video game version of that in the final thing become, I'll teleport underneath them because then they won't be able to shoot me?
Right.
Or behind them, so they have to turn around.
That's where the game like becomes more of a game and the immersion gets diminished, because does the player in reality make that same choice?
Yes.
And
also, the ducking.
How often is the answer no?
The ducking part, because if you're sat down, you can't duck.
Physically duck.
So do you need have you have a button to duck, or like how does that?
Boneworks had a crouch button. I want to say.
They did. Okay.
They did. Yeah. I don't know if Half-Life Alyx will, but
I feel like if you stand in the middle of your room and you commit yourself to like, I'm playing this game for 20 hours, I think you'll have an incredible time.
Oh yeah.
I suppose successful is how do people react to it being in VR, a fully fledged Half-Life game in VR, and that's the thing I'm interested to see. Like I'm definitely interested to see.
It's going to be weird though, isn't it? Because I think the sample size of VR players is not very big.
Well, I mean, but look at how many headsets have sold in the last sort of quarter, probably based on the fact that Half-Life Alyx is coming out.
Yeah.
The index is still sold out, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they said they're going to bring more, but it's still going to be limited quantity.
That's the thing that's got me a little bit fucked up about this, is that I know at some point, for example, Jonesy, you might feel generous and invite Chris and I out to the ranch to play VR.
El Rancho Jonesy.
Exactly. To play Half-Life Alyx. But there is a voice in my head that says, you got to play it on a Valve Index with the flipping finger waggly controllers.
Because I've got a Vive, I don't even have a.
You got like
the
first retail Vive,
yes,
right? And the ones,
exactly,
with the big rings on the end.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how. And I've looked at a number of like tech demos and people talking about this, and people saying that the Index is that is next gen. So like you take the Vive, take the Vive Pro, take the Rift, take the second version of the Rift. Those are all a previous gen. The Index is next gen.
Yeah.
So I do kind of feel like, how is that going to feel?
Basically, this is my way of saying I'm going to wait until Jonesy breaks buys a Valve Index, then I'm coming up to the ranch and playing that.
Yeah. But I had the same issue with Final Fantasy VII playing it, because I'm like, oh man, I should probably upgrade to PS4 Pro for this. But it's this awkward timing of, well, I'm not going to buy a fucking PS4 Pro now when PS5 is coming out this year. Like, come on.
I tell you what, if I get an index, I will stream the whole of Half-Life Alyx.
You won't make your money back if that's your plan.
No, I won't make any money back, but I'll do it. Just 'cause
How much is a Valve
I'll have
Index
to
with
justify
the controller?
A
So I get
thousand?
I get a live price up there.
Yeah.
$8.99?
something like that, 800 to $1,000, I believe.
That sounds about right. Don't wait on this, by the way.
But like, hey, it looks incredible, and it looks like the best VR experience I've seen. My only thing with VR is I love doing it, but I kind of know the pitfalls. So
Yeah.
the tethered thing, and this is one thing that gets me is, and I was saying that I think you will have with this game, is simply turning around in the, like, when you've got all of that stuff on, feels a bit odd sometimes because you can feel the cable.
Yeah.
And you kind of
It
still
takes you out of it.
it's not that it takes you out of it. You still have a general sense of direction for where your real world body is facing, which means that when you're doing shooting in that sort of situation, like that gunfight, you kind of want to be facing in the direction you were when you put the headset on.
Yeah,
Right.
like in the game, you could be facing forward, but you think to yourself, "I'm actually still turned around."
There was one
Yeah.
game that you could teleport and choose which direction you'd be facing in when you landed. And I know I've played that game. It's almost like you would use the left stick, the left touchpad or whatever, to move where your teleporter was
Like a
facing.
Victor
Right.
targeting.
And the
thing.
right stick would almost like rotate the feet position.
Oh,
So you
okay.
could say, I want to teleport
Was
into
that
the
Robo
corner.
Recall?
It may well have been. It must have been something I've
Robo
played. And so you could basically say, I want to like teleport into the corner, but be facing into the room.
Yeah.
Because you could turn it around.
Might be wrong in saying that. Also, I think Fallout 4 had it on one stick. If you pushed it right or left, you did a 90-degree turn. So what you end up, and the way you end up playing the game is you literally go, if you want to turn around and run in the opposite direction, you go bam bam with the right stick to turn yourself 180 degrees,
Right,
and then
yeah.
you go teleport, and then to turn around you go bam bam, and you
Yeah.
rather than in your room turning around,
Yeah,
because it just feels weird. It just feels like
You got to get one of those gimbals from the ceiling.
it's a
Especially
strange
because
thing.
every time I've ever been in VR, I've been aware that there's been a cable
Exactly.
running down.
Oh yeah,
the back
because
of
you
my
don't want
head.
to fucking trip over.
Yeah,
and
you don't want to
die.
get wound up like a dog running around a chair with its lead on.
or you end up doing a weird Zoolander thing in that you rotate a couple times, like to your right, then because the cable's then tie around your feet to
Yeah.
go right again, you literally spin all the way around to your left.
This again is another problem that I'm going to wait for Jonesy to fix in his multi-million-dollar setup
So
Fair enough.
until all the cables are running from the ceiling and like you're completely free.
this is the one thing I have with any VR game is the quality of life stuff. No matter how good the game is in VR, they need to do untethered, which I know they're trying to do, and I know there've been some third-party stuff, but nobody's come with an untethered.
Quest, right?
Yeah, but the Quest is different. The Quest.
No,
is
I know it's like a lower quality.
Yeah, but if you want
headset.
to, you can connect the Quest to your computer,
PC, yeah.
but it's still with a single cable. It's
I know,
one
but
cable, but it's
out of the box, the Quest you can play Super Hot VR completely untethered.
yeah, but you
on
won't be able
Oculus
to
Quest.
play. You probably won't be able to play.
I'm pretty sure you can.
But if you're
play
talking,
Half-Life Alyx on an Oculus Quest,
but if you're talking like,
Untethered.
I don't think you can.
I don't think you can.
maybe not Quest then, but
But I'm pretty sure that there are untethered.
If you
headsets.
can.
the list of I'm gonna
If you
check-
can, then I'm buying a fucking.
I'm pretty
mean,
sure.
the Oculus Quest is the closest I've ever come to buying a headset because it is completely untethered.
I thought it wasn't with regard to like. I didn't think it was as. So, for example, let's say you could just port the visual stuff through your phone for Half-Life Alyx, and you could play with the thing. You could go, "Oh, that's untethered,"
Yeah.
but that's not like a full-fledged VR experience.
Yeah.
Like that you
I mean,
want.
the screen isn't as good. Like it will be.
Yeah, that's what it's.
and
So what
so on and so
you
forth.
reckon half? Okay, so you. Search,
I'm looking at the list of games that you because you're right. Not every game automatically works on Quest.
Yeah.
People need to make stuff specifically for Quest.
Right.
yeah,
but,
I think those ones are like not considered fully fledged.
I mean, I'll throw out some titles for you, and you tell me if you'd be surprised to hear. I'll look at the top-selling Oculus Quest
Oh,
games,
yeah,
and
go
you tell
for
me if you'd be surprised to hear that they are available on Oculus Quest. So
Okay.
Beat Saber,
Yeah, sure,
Super Hot VR,
sure.
Yeah.
Moss, Job Simulator,
Yeah.
Arizona Sunshine, Gun Club VR, Aspire 1, I don't know what that is, Thrill of the Fight, Richie's Plank Experience, Ghost Giant, I Expect You to Die, Space Pirate Trainer, Drunken Bar Fight, The Climb, Box VR, Creed Rise to Glory, Robo Recall,
Maybe
Vacation
Robo
Simulator,
Recall.
Recall, I
yeah.
was, and maybe Creed as well, because I know that's a
Red
But
Matter,
again, Creed
Journey
is
of the
like-
Gods, Vader
It's
Immortal.
It's
quite
one
straightforward,
room, you know.
So yeah, I mean,
I
like,
thought the issues with, so for me, I could be complete. I've kind of ignored the Quest.
keep
I must
talking and
admit.
nobody explodes.
The Quest for me, I
Okay.
thought wasn't kind of the room scale,
No, it's
fully
like,
fledged VR experience.
well,
that you
it's,
want out of a
it's
headset.
technically room scale in that like you could take your Oculus Quest to the park.
yeah, and you could move. But I've always thought of it as being like more like an emulator or a ported version of VR.
I mean,
if you want to play the
don't get me wrong,
full-fledged version.
so developers do need to make versions of their games that run on the Quest, because I want to say the screen probably isn't the same resolution,
Right.
Yeah.
and also it's all internal memory, obviously, because there's no PC, so the games are physically installed to the headset.
Yeah.
So there's like a 64 or 124, I don't remember, 128 gigabyte versions of the Quest. You actually have to choose which size.
It's always worried me that the Quest was more like the.
It does say here that it on the wiki that Half-Life Alyx is PC compatible VR headsets, including Valve Index, HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, Oculus Quest, and Windows Mixed Reality, but doesn't mention if it's Oculus Quest with the.
I'd reckon that's Quest plugged into a PC.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Quest to me was always like the step along from like the Samsung Galaxy VR thing. Like where you put your phone in a headset and you.
I think it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah, like a step along that path, if you like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it doesn't. I don't think it's a viable alternative to the Index. Is what I'm trying to say.
No. They're completely different audiences.
Exactly.
One person wants to play games regardless of how good they look because they want the untethered anywhere experience. They want I wanted to be able to pop a Quest out of my bag right now, put it on your head, and you're playing a game.
Yes.
Like if I was showing my parents VR, I'd get a Quest.
Whereas.
If I was a Half-Life,
I want the very best possible VR.
You want the best there ever was.
But I want that untethered.
If an Index was available right now, if they had stock, would you buy one?
How much did we say they were?
So it's $920 for the headset, the controllers,
and the lighthouses.
2 lighthouses, and Half-Life Alyx.
And Half-Life Alyx.
Well, because it's free if you buy.
You can buy it with. Would the Oculus? Do you already? If you had the HTC Vive, would your fucking sensors work with the thing? Because you can buy a version that doesn't come.
So. I don't think so. I think you need Valve's Lighthouse sensor.
I think, at least I think so. I don't.
Because the version of,
you might probably be able to
they sell a
hack
version of it without it, which is like the headset, the controllers, and Half-Life Alyx. It's in the 600s.
I wonder if that's why they do it, because if you already have lighthouses.
Yeah, because the lighthouse things are like 140 quid each.
Yeah.
So that's adding 300 quid to your total price, basically, when you get 2 of them.
I've got my Rift.
Wait, he didn't answer.
I'm gonna try.
I would be tempted.
I'd be tempted.
But it would also seem ridiculous.
Can one of you just do it, please?
Yeah, fucking money bags.
Well, you know.
You know, we don't have jobs, mister.
Yeah, you got something else though.
Nah, not really. That's got to last. Anyway, that's Half-Life Alyx.
Don't get me wrong. Day one, I will be playing Half-Life Alyx.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
There's no.
I won't.
You might.
I don't have a headset.
Come to mine.
But you could pick up a Windows Mixed Reality for like £200.
I'm not going to play the shittiest version of the cheapest version of Half-Life Alyx. I don't care about it that much.
Come to mine and we'll play it.
And then you know what's going to happen?
I'm waiting until you get a bloody Index.
You said you can come and play on my Vive, but you don't want to.
You can come play it on my Rift.
There's probably a crust that's actually formed around Jonesy's headset.
Why would there be you haven't used it that much?
2 words: sweat, cum.
Oh,
wow.
Sweat cum. You know what it's going to be like? It's going to be like the Fly. You're going to slowly morph into Jonesy.
Oh,
your DNA's going to mix.
I'm going to get the coronavirus the first time I put your Vive on.
What would sweat cum be? Swum crust.
Well, I was going to say sweat and cum, but then I realised that would be 3 words and I didn't want to sound stupid, okay? So I said sweat cum.
Anyway.
From all the VR porn you've been watching. And that's the other thing. I really want to try VR porn, but I can't go to Jonesy's house to do that.
Yeah, Jonesy, can you just go back into the next room for a
moment? Leave me alone. Jonesy, could you, I'm going to come over, stay in the night. Can you set up the Vive in the guest room, please?
In the masturbatorium, please.
Do not enter.
Yeah.
Wow. Fucking hell. Okay, let's move on to the next and last bit of news that we're going to cover today, which is Riot's new game.
Is it a new game, or is it a thefty game of stealing all things?
Oh, well, we're about to discuss it and find out. It is the new game previously known as Project A, but now has an official title, which is, I don't know how you pronounce this, but Valorant or Valorant?
I don't know.
I'd say
Valorant.
I'd say Valorant.
Valorant,
because it's Valor.
Yeah.
And then ant.
It's basically a very valorous ant.
Valorant.
But yeah, basically, for those not in the know, they released a alpha gameplay trailer, and they released their website and their Twitter, blah blah blah. So it's an official name, Valorant. It is a 5v5. This, according to them, a 5v5 character-based tactical shooter, where your greatest weapon is your creativity.
Which
does it actually say that?
Yeah.
Is your creativity?
I'm not sure I agree with that based on the gameplay I've seen. Seems like your greatest weapon, probably your reaction time and
Probably your big old
and
gun.
your aim. Yeah.
So the most important thing is it looks like a mixture between Rainbow Six Siege, CS:GO, and Overwatch, right? Like you choose a character. Mm-hmm. Your character has predefined skills.
Yes.
On cooldown with hotkeys, but then you still choose your loadout, and you can still buy weapons at the start of the match. So it's this kind of weird mishmash.
I think it's much. It's more the latter two, the CS:GO, Counter-Strike, and Overwatch. And I guess they say tactical and they say character-based.
Yes. So character-based tactical shooter is what
it's like. Well, character-based Overwatch, tactical
shooter, CS:GO. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should just be called Counterwatch.
Counterwatch. Yeah.
Overstrike.
Overstrike. Counterwatch.
Well, we watched that alpha footage, and we said at the beginning, like, "Oh, this looks like a bit."
Oh yeah, because you start off just holding a fucking knife, like.
And it is so
Counter-Strike. Yeah, exactly. They're not doing themselves any favors there.
But then as we were watching it, we're saying like, then suddenly someone throws up like a big rainbow wall, and then it's like May's ice wall from Overwatch, and you then even get somebody like a Farah saying. Justice strikes from above. Well, it doesn't say that. It's something similar.
It's just,
I shoot you from below. But it was in this. It was given the same way.
Hey Riot, I think Jonesy is looking for some voiceover work.
But I don't. Maybe it's because it's alpha and I'm being unfair. But then what was it we were saying? There's also another character which straight out of Overwatch. Another character's abilities is like.
There's a bow, like a bow and arrow kind of.
Oh
thing.
Yeah, like
Hanzo. And then they had the knives. Like who's the floaty guy?
We said Zenyatta, I think. He's the guy with the balls.
Yeah,
the orbs.
Yes,
the robot.
The one guy that flows around with his legs crossed.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I thought it looked okay. What's interesting about it is going to be free to play and it's coming out in summer 2020.
Okay, so not long at all. They are pure going for that market of people that are going to just sink their money into skins.
Well, look, I mean, League of Legends is free, right? And they are making a killing with that.
You can,
and Riot was always
some of that money.
And Riot was always this thing where it's like Riot Games, and everyone used to rib on them and say, "We'll drop the S from Riot Games because you only release one fucking game, which is League of Legends."
Yeah.
But League of Legends still like
do we play a Riot game?
Riot game, and it's still one of the most popular games on the planet. And now they, like, yes, they're copying stuff, but then again, League of Legends was a copy of Dota. There's no reason for them to
come up with anything.
Technically innovate.
And they've still got 2 projects left, right, that have yet to be fully revealed.
More than 2. So they've got Teamfight Tactics, which I think is currently available.
But I mean, in terms of the ones that they announced as projects in the letter.
Yeah.
It's L. This is Project A.
Yes.
Project L and Project F have yet to be formally revealed.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it looks cool. I think they could... It's funny, I was watching it, and I was just thinking about the the League of Legends... all the esports kind of franchises that they've got, the European Championships and the American Championships, etc. And I'm just thinking to myself, all they need to do is make this game function, and they've got a fucking hit on their hands.
Yeah,
especially as a free-to-play.
Yeah, and they've got the money to support it as an esport and make sure the prize pools are there and people keep playing it. The only thing I think is that we're getting into a territory now where making a game that very closely resembles another game or other games is great for people that like both or either of the games it looks like.
Yeah.
Bad for people that have no interest in that stuff. So I look at that and like, never had any interest in Counter-Strike. Currently have no interest in Overwatch. Yeah. So I can completely count myself out.
Yeah, but that's fair. I don't think it's for you. I think it's more a case of saying we've got millions of players that like our League of Legends.
But they're missing out a massive, massive opportunity to get loads of good press in the SuperShow.
Yeah.
I just think that developers should be more aware of the potential. Yeah. And the reach that we have.
All 1,000 listeners.
Hey, they're not going to commute their LOL audience, though, to this game, are they?
Yeah, probably would.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, and you know what?
It's not the same. They're not the same players.
You know what they're going to do? Is the launcher that you use to start League.
Right.
It's going to be like, hey... It's free, and we've probably sneakily loaded it on your system anyway.
But then, like...
Knowing people who play LoL, I can't imagine them playing this.
Is there a crossover audience between Counter-Strike and Dota that was created as a result of the Valve connection?
No.
Well,
maybe. I don't know. Possibly.
Can we, for one set... Okay,
or Dota and Team Fortress 2.
This is Project A. They've got Project L and F.
Yeah, I believe so.
So A was So
yeah.
A was a mixture of Overwatch and CS:GO.
Yeah,
I think
so
F is a fighting game. I want to
Yeah,
say.
F is a
so
fighting game.
L is going to be like a...
I
No,
don't remember.
L
what
is an
L is.
RPG based on the League of Legends
Right. Okay.
world.
So what's L going to be? So L is a
L's-
mixture of League of Legends and...
L's going to be Destiny. League of Legends Destiny.
League of Legends Destiny. And
I
then
don't
F
know.
is a fighting game. So what do you reckon that's going to be a mixture of?
Street Fighter and Overwatch.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
They're just going to slide Overwatch into just...
Mortal
Funny
Kombat.
enough, I was reading an article that said for their fighting game, they actually hired a bunch of like ex-Evo pros
Oh, okay.
or whatever it was to help them make the game.
Come up with it.
Yeah.
They already had one guy. His name's Seth Killian, something like that,
It
who
sounds
was like
familiar,
a big fighting game community guy, fighting game development guy, and he worked on a game a little while back. It was like a PC-based fighting game that you could
Rage.
play with keyboard inputs, and it was like
Yes,
designed to let you play with keyboard inputs. And I want to say Riot hired him and kind of pushed that project to the side so he could work on their stuff. But there was always the rumor, that they were just going to put League of Legends character in a fighting game.
I think that's exactly what
That's
it is.
probably what
Can't
I don't
believe
think, I don't think it's rumor. I think that's.
Except there are so many League of Legends characters.
Who would
But
you
that's
pick?
cool though, right?
Can't believe
Like,
I said Primal Rage and no one laughed.
I love Primal Rage.
Just try and modernise the references a bit next time.
Sorry, I apologise.
You're playing to a very young audience. Don't underestimate how hip I am.
Yeah, hold on. If we are his audience, you're only 50% of it.
Well, then why
Yeah,
didn't you
it's true.
laugh?
Well, because I was busy talking.
Harsh.
Are
You guys? So what are you going to get on this game?
I think I'm going to play Altered Beast instead. Thanks for the last lads.
What's it called? Variant.
Valorant?
Valorant.
I think I'll try it. It's why not?
It's not in my wheelhouse at all. It's too CS:GO for me. I don't
Yeah.
know.
This is the weird example of a game that, while it is free to play, I can still quite confidently say, no, not for me.
But you know, so I'm looking at it like this. Like, I'd love to get into CS:GO, but I feel like
I would get killed so many times.
exactly.
People would go, "Oh, what are you doing? You're so shit." And they're just,
And then
they
you'd be
put
in
me
low
on
priority. But I feel that this is maybe like an easier time than CS:GO. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think it looks too
And
similar.
then the thing that I don't like about Overwatch is the fact that like deaths don't fucking mean anything. Right? Like you die, you fucking respawn, you can even choose your fucking character.
I think that's what's good about it.
Yeah, I like that.
Overwatch is
I don't
a
like it
game
at
that
all.
doesn't make you feel bad about being bad, which most of us are nowadays.
Yeah.
You can run into a fight, unload both all the clips in your gun, and then someone can kill you, and then you immediately run back into the same fight and do the same thing again, and you feel fine.
Yeah.
I'm playing the objective.
Well, hey, listen, we've kind of tried to set ourselves a task of trying to play a multiplayer game where we all jump in like once a week, right?
Oh.
Valorant could be the game.
Maybe.
I mean, maybe if it is just for a week, then maybe.
If it's free.
I suppose at 5v5, we're already 3/5 of a way towards a full team.
Oh, God, we're definitely going to
We
lose.
just need
Plus Steph.
two more, yeah. That's Steph.
And let's get Roche involved as well.
Yeah, we just need
yeah.
Roche to get a PC. Does Roche have a PC?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Oh,
It's a laptop, I want to say.
Sorry, we'll invite one of our patrons.
Oh, yeah.
Like Skylar Music or Lonnie Thompson.
Will you be the 5th player in the Valorant team? Find out.
Next time on Survivor.
And Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. Yeah, so that's it, guys. That's it, fellas. That's what we got.
That's what it's like my favourite music album. Now, that's what I call a podcast.
Hey, a 5-star podcast.
Apparently. So I've heard. According to iTunes.
Hey, the numbers don't lie, fellas.
Steve Jobs doesn't lie. And
Yeah.
he says that this is a 5-star podcast.
Yeah. In fact, that's engraved on his tombstone. Listen to SuperShow.
Yeah.
It's a 5-star podcast.
This might be, we're going to, big risk we're taking because 5 stars up to now, but next week might be the most different podcast in the history of the SuperShow.
I won't be here.
You won't be here. Where are you going?
South Africa, as we've kind of alluded to. But yeah, I'm going to...
Only for 1 week. Well, no,
Well,
maybe 2
longer
weeks.
than that, but only
Longer-
away for one episode.
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
So, it's going to be you guys.
We haven't quite figured out what we're going to do.
No.
Me and Jonesy will be there in some capacity.
We
but
will.
We haven't figured out. So brace yourselves, I guess, whether you're listening or watching for a possibly different looking, different sounding, different voices. Who knows?
Yeah, because unless we break in, we can't really use Chris's house.
No, we're not going to be back in this lovely living room.
Yeah, you're not allowed. You're not welcome here unless I'm here. It's almost like...
It would be weird, wouldn't it, if we just turned up at your house and like
Just knock on the door.
and then you look at what would you
My
do if
wife
you
would be
watched-
like, what the
If you watched the podcast back and we were in your living room, would you like?
That would be so freaky. Like even if you guys like, even if like after someone went to the toilet or something, you took a picture of it and then you green screen it, and just like, I'd be like, oh, what the fuck is going on?
We could freak you out for the first few seconds of it, and then pull the sheet down, and we're like somewhere else.
Oh man.
So yeah, keep an eye out for that one.
All right.
And,
As always, thank you so much for watching. We need a code word.
for people to leave in the comments down below.
Yeah.
Is it too obvious to do Valorant? What's it called?
Valorant. Yeah, I think because people might want to talk about Valorant anyway. It's got to be something a little bit.
But will they?
Okay, if you agree with me about Valorant, then you have to put down below, Valorant looks like a load of sweat cum.
Yeah, okay, sweat cum. No.
Cum sweat.
Come sweat.
No,
Swam.
Okay.
Put the code word swam
Wait,
down below.
let's before we go balls deep on this.
my
Is
God.
sweat cum
Pun intended.
Is swam, sweat and cum mixed together, or a separate instance where you're both sweating and cumming?
I thought it was sweat and coming together.
Yeah, I kind of imagined it
Swam.
like a petri dish, and you come on the one side, you sweat on the other, and you take a swab and you mix it together.
Huh, okay. Do they, but is it like oil and water where one rises to the, they don't mix?
Let us know in the comments down below what
No.
you think the consistency
I can sweat without
of
coming,
swam
but
is.
I can sweat without coming, but I can't come without sweating.
Yeah, so please don't put sweat cum or cum sweat or anything.
Put
Just
swam.
swam.
Yeah, think about it.
No,
Think about it.
oh,
No,
God.
put what you want.
Think about it. Yeah, put what you want.
Put what you want. Oh, well, why not? Like, whatever.
Don't let Chris tell you what to do.
Hey, listen, these guys tell us what to do,
Yeah, this
not
is
the
true.
other way around. So
Alex Jones's crusty valve ring.
Let's go stick with swam.
That's where the swam came from.
that's where the swam came from.
Chris took a swab to your HTC Vive, and it was filled with swam.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That is what it was.
Why is he there? Why is he doing that with a swab on my
Why is he in your house?
I've got no idea. Yeah.
It's
All
like-
kinds of questions to be
Why is
answered.
he there?
Yeah. Find out next week the answers. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube or listening, if you're listening on your podcasting platform of choice, do give us a comment down below or give us 5 stars or, hey, just tell people about this awesome podcast.
You can also tweet us at
SuperShow
Pod.
Pod. Yes, and if you would like to help this podcast keep on going, make sure to check out our Patreon, which is patreon.com/SuperShow. And, you can pledge. For as little as $2, you get access to a Discord server, but there are some other tiers there giving you additional access to footage, content, what have you.
All that good stuff.
And with that, please have yourselves a classy time.
See ya.
See ya.